Hey y'all, before we get started today, I want to remind you that in my real life, I'm helping people keep more of their own money at savewithconrad.com. I would love to see if I could help your family save some cash. We're routinely helping our podcast listeners save thousands of dollars each and every year, all because they spent just a few minutes with us over at savewithconrad.com. I'm talking to you if you're in a 30-year loan. I'm talking to you if you've got credit card debt. I'm talking to you if you've got a second mortgage. We can take care of all that just like that. We're going to get you a better interest rate. We're going to shorten your term, and we're going to help you pay off all your credit card debt once and for all, and do it all with cheaper monthly payments. That's right. You can get out of debt faster with cheaper monthly payments, and you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do it. Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. And here's the thing, man, there's a chance that you've got a great deal. Maybe we couldn't save you any money, but wouldn't it be nice to just have that peace of mind of knowing you've got the best deal for your family? That's what my family can do. By the way, go check out some of our reviews at conradreviews.com. We've got an A+ rating with the BBB, over 1,000 5-star reviews, and an average score of 4.72 stars. We're helping families just like yours get out of debt faster and with cheaper monthly payments at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Oh, and did I mention no house payments for 2 months? Give me a call, 888-425-0105, or send me an email personally, conrad@savewithconrad.com. And let's get you saving some money right now at savewithconrad.com.
Welcome to WHW Monday. Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson.
Jim Crockett First Arcade, 605 NWA, TV title, Cajun Omni, the Bunkhouse Stampede, Flair and Horseman, Garvin, Bogey, Magnum, Dusty, Express Tag Team, Turner, Bonnet, Mid-South Joint World Championship Wrestling.
Talking about the great years of World Championship Wrestling, the NWA, and Jim Crockett Promotions.
Tony and First North, they win. Look, Schiavone's back again. World title split off center stage. Bischoff, Disney, Hogan, and Nitro. New World Order and the Crow. Thunder, Russo, Arquette, Champ, Vinnie, Mac, simulcast. Tony's back with Conrad, not your classy podcast. Watch along, try not to laugh. Lowest rules can't pass. This wasn't the initial plan. Tom Zig's a good-looking man. Klondike Bill, make a chair. Tommy, you come over here.
What happened when? WHW Monday. And now, let's go to the ring. And here's your co-host. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm okay, Conrad. How's things where you are? Let me say this before you answer. It's thundering here where I am.
Wow.
Yeah, and so the dogs are in a tizzy right now. So I've got good internet now, so I don't think we'll drop off. But you never know.
You never know. We hope you don't drop off because, we don't want you to pull in Alabama and drop off like they did out of the NCAA tournament.
Oh, I didn't even watch last night. Did they lose?
They lost, as you and I are recording this on a Sunday morning, they lost
Right.
on Friday evening.
Friday evening.
They're out. UConn absolutely destroyed Gonzaga.
Uh-huh.
And now we've got our Final Four. As folks are listening to this, we know who's going to be in the Final Four. And that's heads up with night one of WrestleMania. You having a big WrestleMania party at Finkel's house, or what are you doing?
No, I'm not. Even if Howard were alive, I would not. But I do think I'm going to watch the Cody match. I do want to see that. Cause
that one's on Sunday.
Yeah, that I know that's Sunday. Because that's very special to be the main event for WrestleMania. His dad didn't even do that, right? So that's
Neither did Richard. Richard
Yeah.
never did it.
Richard never did it. So that's a big deal, right?
Yeah. It is a big deal. Of course, night one is the more things change, the more they stay the same. We've spent a lot of time talking about Jim Crockett Promotions on this show. And night one in the main event, Flair is a champion. And night two in the main event, Rhodes is a challenger. It's old as
Something
news.
else, huh? Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Meanwhile, let's see what they're saying over at 411 Fuck Sheet.
Good. Yeah.
That has made me laugh more this week than anything I think you've ever said on the program, because it was so off the cuff. I just absolutely loved it. But we got plenty of time to talk about it because I can't believe this is real. We got a 3 hour and 38 minute watch along here.
I was looking at the list of the matches.
There's 38 matches.
Well, some of them are like there's one match 3 minutes and 6 seconds. There's one match 31 seconds. There's one match 5 minutes and 38 seconds. So a lot of the guys didn't go long here.
Well, if you're looking to go long, you should trouble it. That's another time. Fire up your Peacock. It's season 5, episode 1, WrestleMania 5. That's season 5, episode 1, WrestleMania 5. I am rip roaring ready to get this one going, man. I am at my peak fandom in this one, and I just can't wait to watch it with you. So I think you've got a special countdown for us today.
Let's go to Steph Chesney this morning.
Let's do it.
You know it's all about you.
Let me tell you something, little skinny motherfucker. I will beat your ass, plus I will beat your ass in video games. I know that you're free to lie. How's it gonna feel to go back to Connecticut and tell the fuckers that an old 63-year-old man beat your ass?
The Mega Power explode here at WrestleMania 5.
Jam-packed here in Atlantic City for WrestleMania 5 at Trump Plaza. You could cut the electricity with a knife. It's going to be fast, hot, and furious here in WrestleMania 5. All the questions will be answered. Hold on, fasten your seatbelts, and get ready for the most exciting several hours of wrestling you have ever seen as part of WrestleMania 5. Right now, though, without any further ado, we're going to take you down to ringside for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to sing America the Beautiful, the World Wrestling Federation's Women's Champion, Rockin' Robin!
Oh, say, can you see? I am glad my daddy's dead and don't know the words. See the flag that it's waving. We're the country that let Dave Silva in, and I'm out of tune. And why did he move to Huntsville? Yes, he kind of looks like that lady with the spikes on her head. I'm into the Star Spangled Banner, right?
Yeah, this is America the Beautiful.
Oh, okay.
And I got to tell you, this is the second most offensive thing that her family ever did. And considering her dad's Grizzly and her brother is Jake and the other Sam Houston, that says a lot. And this is, I'll tell you this, she is 100 times the wrestler that she is the singer. And people talk about her being a great in-ring performer. Well, maybe not there. Let's listen.
Nice ovation for Rockin' Robin, the women's champion, doing America the Beautiful.
I'll tell you something, Gorilla. She better keep her daytime job is all I gotta say.
Do you think you can do any better, Jesse?
She better stick to
Give
wrestling.
me a break. Right now, let's go down to Howard Finkel for the announcement of our opening match.
I love Jesse getting at that ass.
And how about the shot is, if you're watching along with us, just behind the head. I mean, the back of the head. Just
Yep.
There you go. There's your on camera, JR. There you go, buddy. There's your on
Does JR like on cameras?
Yes, he does.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, he just thinks we talked about it last week that he said, we ought to do it on camera. He said it's kind of silly if we're just, and I said, yeah, we should. So we did it on camera on the Saturday night Rampage, and on the desk it said Friday 10 to 9. 9 Central. I'm thinking, what the fuck? What's wrong with us? Hey, King Haku.
Oh, that's the way he ought to be carried into every room.
You did. Yeah, wrestling event or not.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to dinner. Carry his ass in like that.
Yeah. He was king. I guess Hacksaw Jim Duggan was king, and of course the Macho King Randy Savage. So I don't know who else.
Harley Race and
Harley Race.
Jerry Lawler and Booker T.
They were all king.
Yeah.
And then they retired the crown.
You would have loved King Booker.
Really?
Oh, seriously. He took a stupid, silly thing and made it fun. He would call himself King Booker. It was great. Walking around going, bow, bow. It was awesome.
I love those old school graphics that we just saw with Haku. And here's Heenan.
It would be appropriate for everybody here at WrestleMania 5 and everybody at home and everybody at all the closed circuit locations to get up out of your seats and show proper respect and bow to the king of the World Wrestling Federation.
I don't see too many people up and bowing, Jess, and genuflecting.
You know why, Gorilla? Because we're on a long shot there. You can't tell. You got to get a close-up to see that.
Well,
Here comes Hercules. What did you think of Hercules?
Good guy. I first met him when he was the Assassin #2 with Jody Hamilton. Assassin 1 and 2. He's a pretty good guy. He just he seemed to be always in like a good mood. Always, hey, how you doing? Smiling. Hey, you know one thing I noticed off the top here?
What's that?
As we I mean, we're talking about 89 here, so.
Yes.
And obviously we're talking a long time ago. But with the exception of Hogan t-shirts, if you take a look at the crowd today at a wrestling match, like everybody's got a shirt, like some sort of marketing shirt on, right? Like, but there's not many shirts with the exception of Hulkamania shirts.
Well, a couple things here. There's a lot of yellow Hulk Hogan foam fingers.
Yeah.
A lot of Hulkamania shirts. They did have other merch, but this is a casino crowd. This crowd sucks a dick. So a lot of these are not real wrestling fans. Now you'll spot them because they're the children wearing Hulk Hogan shirts.
Right.
But a lot of these other folks were just in town to gamble, and the casino had bought a bunch of tickets, and this was what they comped them.
Wow.
Because this was like the fun, hot pop culture thing, and it's a big show. So,
yeah,
hey, here you go. So it set a record for the gate, but a lot of that was because the casino was paying these crazy inflated prices that. I mean, you can find the regular fans, but they stick out kind of like a sore thumb amongst all the people who are dressed up and going to a fancy dinner.
Yeah, it's one of those. Obviously, we're going to. I guess we're going to see some leave. I don't know. Maybe they just waited around for Hulk Hogan.
See Trump in the front row.
No,
across from the hard cam. He's standing. He's trying to make his way to his seats.
Oh,
he's got his back to the camera right now.
Okay, I see him now.
This is his now of course this is before Donald Trump is who he is now, the
right.
controversial political figure. At this point he's just this probably America's most famous quote unquote entrepreneur.
Yeah,
he put out some books on the art of the deal and courted a lot of media attention nationally in New York, and of course that's really our media hub here in America. And so he had become a bit of a household name, and it was probably a big opportunity for the WWE to have not one WrestleMania here, but two, WrestleMania 4 and 5, and back-to-back years at the same location. Clearly, they got a racehorse good deal, and Bruce has even talked about how they spent a lot of time making the inside of this building look, quote-unquote, TV ready. Not just the big banners, which you can see have been altered. Originally, they were the ones used for 4. They just changed the existing ones to take that I off of the IV, and now it's just a V, and there it is. But they did string up a bunch of lights in the ceiling, change the lighting that went up in the barrels of the ceiling, and so it was quite a bit of a time investment, and they got to save that for WrestleMania 5 because they'd already did it for 4, left it installed, and used it again at 5. So it was probably, I'm not going to say it was like when you guys were running at Daly's place all the time, but it wasn't that far off in that, okay, we're familiar with the building. We know exactly what we got to do. But yeah, the crowd left a lot to be desired because they're not wrestling fans just going bananas for this or that or whatever.
Look how snug, if I can use that term, the ringside area is. It's really small.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, you see Finkel and some of the ring boys over on the side there, along with Heenan. Heenan can barely get around them. Wow, it's really, really close. I think Trump finally took his seat. He had, or did he? Yeah, he did take his seat. He had his back. He had his back, and saying hello to everybody, and was blocking people's vision, but nobody cared.
Well, they're missing a Hercules match.
Right. Exactly. Hey, a good morning and hello to everyone who's joined us live, like Josh Fields, like my adopted daughter, Brooke. Ken Smock is here. Coach Rosie, of course, he's been up all night smoking a pack of cigarettes. Hello to everyone who's here.
Hey, do you reckon they got the correct link, or did they get the wrong link? Like
I don't know. I hope they got the right link. What do you think, Dave Silva?
Well, when I take a look, they were commenting at 7:51, and that's when we were whacking each other off on the other side. Like, well, it says 83 weeks, and it says it ended, and Dave's not here, but me and you were here.
Right.
And we couldn't actually see each other. We had to, like, type messages back and forth on a typewriter.
Zoel Lopez is here. Coach Keith Morrison's here, and he's awake this time of morning.
Coach Rosie wants to know, is anyone going to L.A.? Yes, everyone's going to L.A. except Tony. Look, they turned the lights out for a minute.
No, I'm going to L.A.
Are you really?
Yeah, for the ROH Super.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, I went on a little rant last week about dumbasses who said, they don't know who Vikingo is. Why should I care? And I said, hey, motherfucker, you didn't know who anybody was before you saw him on TV. Watch next Wednesday and you'll find out. I think the whole world found out who Vikingo is.
Something else, wasn't it?
Dude, it was amazing.
Yeah. Even Lois Schiavone watched
Who hates everything.
She watched it.
And?
She said, man, that little kid, he was something else, wasn't he? I said, which one y'all about? She said, the one that was in the ring against Kenny Omega. I said, yeah, he was something else, man. But
so happy for him, happy for Dorian, happy for Conan.
Yeah.
You know, AAA is not, they don't get a lot of mainstream coverage here. And, you know, the reputable wrestling media, like, what'd you call them last week, Tony?
Fuck sticks.
411 fuck sheet, I think.
411 fuck sheet, yeah.
Okay. It got all over me. I'll never forget it. I told Megan, you know, I don't have a tattoo, but I might get that tattooed because it touched me in my soul.
Yeah.
The disdain you had just immediately. I was like, whoa, I didn't even know but you were very familiar. 411 fuck sheet. Anyway, I was really excited to see AAA get some flowers and Vikingo. I mean, he's their guy, and he's been their guy for a while, and now the whole world knows why he's so special and what makes Lucha so fun.
Yeah, he is very, very special. It was good to see Conan. He was there. I talked to him for a little bit, and of course, you know, as we know, he's had some health problems, so it was great to see him again. And
absolutely.
It was a very good night for us. I was very, very happy with it, very excited about it. And so for those fans say, why should I like him? You know what? You shouldn't like anybody. And as a matter of fact, you probably hate yourself.
Well,
and I understand. Is it true that you're going to be charged now, maybe, for a monthly charge for being on Twitter?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I thought maybe it was.
I think you have to pay monthly if you want to remain verified.
If you want to remain verified,
they're going to take away your verified status, and it'll just be for people who pay $8 or $9 a month or whatever it is. Here's the thing: I'll be honest, I don't mind paying that if it means I don't ever look at an ad.
Yeah,
like you know, if I can get something early and ad free for like $9 a month, I mean, I'm fucking in. You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, did Hercules win?
Yeah,
he did.
It's WrestleMania. He's babyface.
Yeah. There you go. Belly to back. Do belly to back, or as we call it, isn't that the Northern Lights? I don't know. What's his name?
Well,
Excalibur's nice.
ask what's his name. That's the right approach. Ask
yeah.
what's his
Josh Fields, I think I said hello to Josh. Liam Evans, all the way from the UK, is here. Of course, it's later in the afternoon. Who else am I missing? Did I say hello to everybody? We only got Mike Hoopingarner is here. Hey, Mike. And Zoel's already asking questions. 20 minutes into it. Settle down, Zoel. We'll get to your questions in a little bit.
Scale of 1 to 10. Hercules as an in-ring performer.
4.
Who would be a 3? Can you think of a 3?
JYD.
Okay. Hey, take a look. We got Mean Gene in the backstage area, and look who he's with.
All right, we are just moments away from the match that pits the Twin Towers, Akeem, and the Big Boss Man managed by Slick against the Rockers. They are Marty Jannetty and you, Shawn Michaels.
I'll tell you what, this is the moment of truth. All the talking is over with. You know, everybody's talking about how the Twin Towers, they can't be beat. I'll tell you what, Twin Towers, Akeem, the Big Boss Man, the Rockers, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels are going to show you something today at WrestleMania 5 that you've never seen before. And what's it going to be like when the two big men are trying to catch Grease Lightning, Gene?
All right, big match, big man indeed, Marty.
That's right. We're taking on the biggest team of professional wrestling. And just to come out in one piece would be a victory. But the Rockers want much more than that, of course. We want to come out the winners. And to do that, we're going to have to rock and roll, strut and stroll, slam and jam, and everything that we do best. Tag team specialty, that's what it's going to be. So get ready, because we're ready. We're ready. Grease Lightning, we're coming. Come on, boys. We're ready.
All right, a very important match for both teams. The Twin Towers standing by to meet the Rockers. Right now, let's go back to Gorilla Monsoon and his outspoken colleague, Jesse Ventura.
Dude, Mean Gene is the man, is he not?
There's nobody even close to him.
There's really not.
Yeah.
How about Marty Jannetty trying to get all of his catchphrases in? We're going to rock and roll and strut and stroll and slam and jam. And there I am, strutting my shit, looking as only I can look. Eric Rottencrotch, pre-weight loss, pre-Pokemon discovery. There's my bartender, Dre, anorexic Dre. And, dude, look at that. I'm looking good right there. This has maybe the best clothesline gif of all time. Yeah. And he's going to clothesline the ever-living fuck out of Shawn Michaels during this match. I know you don't remember that, but there's 2 things I'll never forget from this show.
Okay.
That clothesline that he's going to deliver to Shawn Michaels, and when the Bushwhackers, forget which one, whacked off Mr. Rougeau right in the middle of the ring. You're going to get to see that too.
Hey, how about this entrance with the steps?
Everybody tripped. Everybody falls. Seriously, it happens multiple times. Because they're not used to it. Wait a minute. I'm going down carpeted stairs?
I know. It's like, who came up with this one? Like, wow.
I blame you.
Yeah. Well, I was there. You're going to
By
see
the way,
me, I guess.
the gear that Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty are wearing, specifically the tops they're wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, this is the most arts and crafts, DDP, 1994, yard sale Jones, swap meet specialty.
It's
well, what I want you to do now, Sally, is take a strip of Elmer's glue and go all the way in a diagonal direction and then come behind it with this little shaker and shake some of these little sparkles on it. Okay.
Yeah. And here's a bed sheet.
Yes.
Would you cut it into strips for me?
And then I want you to glue those on with this glue stick.
You're probably not too far away from being correct.
Dude, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, the ring attire has
It's advanced quite a bit.
Oh, yes it has. Holy shit.
That was a hell of a move right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, didn't see that one coming.
Drop kick 3/4 of the way across the ring.
Yeah.
Way ahead of its time, especially for 1989. By the way, look how the Big Boss Man moves here in 89. Yes, he's a big fat son bitch. I understand. However, he is moving.
Yeah. Yeah, he really, if you think about it, and it's hard to really, he's one of the best big men of all time for many reasons.
Yes.
Because he could work because of his gimmick and because he drew money with it.
Look at me go. That was me coming in here to record a podcast, getting the wrong fucking link from Dave Silva.
Yeah.
Look at Shawn Michaels moonwalking, doing his best Michael Hayes. The quick tags. I mean, a little stupid. Like, I'm going to get in and twist him and then tag back out.
So we can do a double team legal move.
Yes.
There you go.
And then again.
Yeah.
But this is, you know what, when they used to say tag team specialist, that's what they meant.
Yeah.
Quick tags and double team moves.
I remember when they first came on the scene, and of course, me being with Jim Crockett Promotions thinking, that's a Rock and Roll Express ripoff.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course.
And it's odd now, if you think about it now, that one of the members of the Rockers who's in the ring right now became the greatest pro wrestler of all time.
Yes.
Odd, isn't it? You never thought that would happen.
Well, Ricky Morton, I mean, listen, if he would have went singles, I think you could have argued that Ricky Morton could have had a run in 86.
Oh,
if
yeah.
Ricky Morton at a Great American Bash won the title and beat Ric Flair, because he wrestled him some during that era. And there's even a backstage photo of him just holding the big gold belt up to his waist.
Right.
Of course, it never really happened. But, man, it could have happened for like a month. Why not?
Yeah.
They were hotter than shit in 86.
Oh, my God.
It's crazy, though, because you fast forward and by like 89, it just felt like it was a new world. Like, whatever magic they had captured a few years prior was gone. And that's not all their fault, by the way.
Yeah.
How about the Big Boss Man's flat top?
Yeah.
I used to sport that when I played football back in the day.
Really?
I didn't want a bunch of hair on my head. It was hot. So I'd sport a flat top. And then I realized, man, I look like a Bubba. I got to do something different.
How about the stars and bars on his right?
Yeah. Well, that's Georgia back then. You know, he's Cobb County. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a proud Georgian back then. And of course, that's the way the North thought about the South.
It was on your flag until a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Isn't it still on a couple flags, or is it completely gone now?
I don't know. I just knew Georgia had more hate in their heart than everybody else in the nation.
No, not any more than Alabama and Louisiana.
We don't have that shit on our flags.
Okay.
We don't have that shit.
Okay.
Man, look at that double team move. That's a big time double team move. You put a little fucker like Marty Jannetty in the corner and you let Boss Man squish him and then you let Akeem go up Boss Man's ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Spent some time with George Gray, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I guess it was at one WrestleMania that they were in Orlando. He and I were at WrestleCon and sat side by side. And I saw him recently at WrestleCade this past Thanksgiving. He was there.
You gonna be at WrestleCon this weekend?
I am not.
Man, it's weird. I've been talking to a lot of my guys, and it's like Eric's not going, Jeff Jarrett's not going, Tony Schiavone's not going, Jim Ross isn't going. It's like, man, none of my guys are going this year.
Right. You guys
y'all ain't got heat with WrestleCon, do you?
No. I love
I think those are good folks.
Yeah, they are.
But you're working this time. It's different.
Yeah, I'm working on Friday, and then I'm just going to take the red eye, go home, sleep.
By the way, we should mention that when we're saying working on Friday, the Ring of Honor pay-per-view is this Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, wait, I think the clothesline's coming here soon.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Let's just track it, and we'll talk about Friday in just a moment.
All right. Yeah, please.
Let's listen to some Gorilla and Jesse the Body.
Speed things up. Shawn Michaels pounding away at the head of Big Akeem. Look at this, a little help to get him across there and back to the other side. Now, where's the referee's count here, Gorilla? I don't know. I think he's checking on where the Big Boss Man is. That's a flying shoulder block. He should not even be counting that. That idiot Morella should not even be counting that. That was the most flagrant double teaming I've seen in a long while. Jess, we have one guest referee here today. If you want to be another one, relax. Oh, wow, what a I believe he irritated
There it was.
He certainly did. He almost decapitated him.
I always love that decapitated line.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the fun in that idiot Morella, Joey Morella is your referee, and the fun in Ventura saying to Gorilla, that idiot Morella, it's Gorilla's son.
Right.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Never acknowledged that it was his son, but Jesse knew.
Right.
And Jesse knew that Gorilla knew, and why not? Here we go. Man, that clothesline was something else, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. Here's the finish. Nope, not. Okay. It was great. It really was. It was so good that the fans did react to it. They didn't they haven't reacted much.
You don't have to be a wrestling fan to be like, God damn, that looked real.
That's right.
You know, a lot of times you as a non-wrestling fan or a casual fan, you're like, oh, this is whatever.
Right.
You see that and you're like, he's gonna feel that one.
Yeah.
That was real.
Listen, those guys feel a lot.
Yeah, they do.
I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I was just
how about that power bomb?
Yeah.
I mean, that looked like he was going to try a Frankenstein before anybody even knew what the hell that was, and instead it just became a power bomb.
So anyway, I was talking the other day to someone, I can't remember who it was, and talking about how these kids, boy, there's your finish. 1, 2, 3 over Shawn Michaels. Holy smokes.
The Rockers were not yet made men.
Wow.
You know, these guys here, the Twin Towers, they're fresh off of a Saturday night main event against Hogan and Savage.
Okay.
So these are monster heels you got to push. And speaking of monster heels, look at that good looking sumbitch.
WrestleMania 5 against Brutus the Barber Beefcake. A man who knows a little bit about strutting and a lot about cutting, if you know what I mean.
Listen, little man. First of all, I have anxiously anticipated this day for some time. WrestleMania 5, because you see, out in the crowd today, there are going to be people that are members of my club, the highly elite. I'm talking about people like Donald Trump and Henry Kravitz, people with clout, people with money, people that are going to be here today to see me demolish you, Beefcake. Oh, yeah, Beefcake. You are looking at a man who spends thousands of dollars being the finely groomed individual that I am. And if you think you're going to put those grubby paws of yours on this head of hair, you better think again, because today you meet your destiny, that being defeated by the greatest athlete in the World Wrestling Federation, the $1 Million Man, as is evident by this $1 million worth of gold and diamonds around my waist. It shines like I do, brighter than any star in the World Wrestling Federation.
Okay, let's go back to Gorilla Monsoon.
Obviously very confident. If he was so confident, why did he put the belt up, Jess?
I love Gorilla Monsoon. Man, just his voice makes me happy. And here we see, look at this meeting of the minds. What a shot this is. Donald Trump shaking hands with the $1 Million Man. And again, this is before either one of those fellows had any controversy surrounding them.
Yeah.
And it was a cool visual, I'm sure, for the WWE to think, man, we got our $1 Million champion out here shaking hands with the owner of the casino, Donald Trump. That's a cool, I get that.
I like how the $1 Million Man dropped the name of Henry Kravitz as well, was a big buddy of Donald Trump's back then. I don't know if he still is, but they were
79-year-old billionaire.
Yeah.
I think he donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration celebration. So fair to say, at least a few years ago, they were pals.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, I was talking to someone about how 30 years from now, can you imagine the guys who are taking these crazy bumps now, how banged up they're going to be in their older age? I mean, they really are. Guys that we see now who didn't take crazy bumps are banged up in their older age. But man,
I totally disagree.
You really think they're going to be good shape?
Better off, much better off.
Because there's better medical.
You're focused more on the big spectacular bumps. And Lord, I get that. Shit, I got eyes. I see them. However, they're only doing it one day a week.
Yeah, I knew that you were going.
Once upon a time, they were doing it 5 and 6 days a week.
Yeah. And
it's not just the one big bump. It's the other 30 in the course of a match. You know, so like, yeah, maybe back in the day, they didn't take one big spectacular bump, but they took 30 regular ones 6 times a week. So 180 times falling down versus 30. And then the travel. I mean, it used to just be so much worse than it is now. And I know you're working a full-time schedule now, but even you have to admit, boy, it used to be a lot worse for these guys.
Yeah, they used to get in a car and drive 8 hours to the next town.
Yes. And then sleep in a hotel bed or a car.
Right.
And all that just adds up to real wear and tear. Whereas most of the time they're in their own bed now.
Yeah.
And they get to work out at home and train at home and blah, blah, blah. So I think they're going to be fine.
Well, I hope, but I just don't know. Some of the spectacular things they do. And, you know, of course, they're not the big stars, but there are a lot of guys who do work for us on Wednesday, and Tony lets them work the independents as well.
Yes.
They
But
don't do
let me
it
say this
often.
too. The independents, the great thing about the independents that nobody talks about, and I don't know why nobody talks about it, but for years and years, when you worked in WCW or you worked for the WWF, they paid for your airfare, but you were getting coach unless you were a top guy. I mean, Mick Foley has talked about he never flew first class in wrestling until the night after he won the world title.
Right.
And then he wasn't sure what the fare on his ticket meant. Like, what does this level fare mean? And Waltman had to tell him that means you're first class. He had never seen it before. So he's a 300-pound wrestler, wrestling death matches and, you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, squeezing into a coach seat at 6'4" or 5", 300 pounds, a middle seat, no less. And now, you know, he gets to sit up front. Well, I'm saying all that to say, on the indies, you set your own schedule. You're not dictated to. In the WWF and WCW, they're booking you on a 5 a.m. flight, and you got to be somewhere else tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., blah, 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 blah. Now, with the independents, it's like, okay, I get to name my own price. I don't find out through the mail 6 weeks later what I made for working that show. I know right up front. I'm going to get that money right up front. I'm also going to say I need my hotel, ground transportation, and first class air. And a lot of the promoters will do it if you're a big enough star.
Right.
So now I get to pick my flight. I get to pick my seat. I get to pick my hotel. Somebody's going to drive me around. I don't have the rental car expense, blah, blah, blah. So the independents are not, I know that online, a lot of fans who just watch wrestling on TV and therefore they're experts think that the independents suck, but that is just not the case. It can be a very lucrative and enjoyable experience that oftentimes would beat working a WWF house show back in the day. Now, that's all changed because now, you know, the WWE schedule is much different. You're not working 5 days a week. You're working 2 or 3. Totally different. And the pay scale is way, way different. Big time guaranteed money now. A lot of your favorite wrestlers who wrestle on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday make a multiple of what Ric Flair ever did for a single match. They're all making Hulk Hogan level money. Not all, a lot of them. I mean, you know, we've heard some of the payroll figures, and we don't talk about current stuff, but we've heard some of those. And then you take a look and you say, well, that cat wrestled 8 times last year. So let's take that, divide by 8. Holy shit! And then I hear online, so and so's not happy. What the fuck are you not happy about?
Oh, I know.
You were home 362 days last year and got paid a shit ton of money per match. Like, let's go down the line and say, hey, Shawn Michaels, would you come out of retirement for that? Yep. Hey, Ric Flair, did you ever make that on an average per match for a year? Nope. Hulk Hogan, how about you? Nope. Stone Cold? Nope. The Rock? Nope. You take a look at, yes, they made a lot of money, but they divided it by 300.
Yeah.
So let's take a lot of money and divide it by 11. What? Sign me up. So these kids, they're not going to be hurting. They're going to be great.
I still think those bumps are I just think they add up, man. They
definitely do.
Yeah.
But the regular ones do too. I watched one of those little science shows a few years ago where they talked about
bumps.
Yes, specifically. They measured it again and they compared it to a car crash at 35 miles an hour, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
So every time a guy takes a quote unquote flat back, he just falls down, right?
Yeah.
That's the equivalent to your body. It does the same damage as being in a 35 mile an hour car crash.
Right.
So if you're going to see a guy bump and feed for 10 punches, my man was just in 10 little car crashes.
Right.
Now, some people would say, well, that's ridiculous. Well, here's what I challenge you to do. Why don't you go run the ropes full speed and then throw yourself at the mat? Do it 10 times and holler back at me. It ain't what you think it is. A lot of our listeners, they think that thing's a goddamn trampoline.
Mm-hmm.
It is not. There's metal and wood under there, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is a little foam, but, you know, throw some hoodies down on the ground in your apartment and just fall down on it.
Right. Right.
It's the same.
I love we were some of the comments, and we appreciate everybody being here. I think Coach Rosie said he likes how Tony pays for everybody's expenses. Coach, that does not happen, just to let you know, without divulging all that I know.
Boy, you just shouldn't have said that.
Really?
Well, because Dave said something on Twitter a while back, and then Tony responded, and now
Dave
you just
said,
added to that discourse.
Dave
Meltzer, he's a journalist, he's a writer.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't work for 411 Fuck Sheet, but by the way,
it's different levels. I mean, it's if you ask, I mean, obviously, what I'm saying is that he said everybody, and we have enhancement talent that come in, and he doesn't pay for all of his expenses for those to come in.
Let's not talk about current stuff so you don't get in trouble.
Okay.
This is me looking out for you. How about that?
Okay, well, let's just
let's talk about our dicks, Tony. Everybody loves hearing about that.
Well, I know what I can talk about, what I can't talk about.
Okay, sorry, my bad. Listen, if you want,
I tell you, let's just edit that out.
No. We're doing a watch long. Can't do that. Let's just get. If you want to pull up payroll figures and just spout them off to everybody.
Okay, here we go.
We'd love to hear what's Miro making.
$50 a week.
That's going to be in 411 Fuck Sheet.
411 Fuck Sheet. We hope Miro next contract will make 75.
He's looking for a bump, my man. He's looking for a bump. I get it. I'd be sitting home too. Fuck this. I will stay home. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh God, you're on a roll. That's 2 weeks in a row. You got me.
Oh, here comes the $1 Million Dream, everybody. I may be a little bit ahead of you there.
No, I'm watching it with you. You want to give everybody a time code?
I sure do. It is 36, 28, 29, 30.
Me and you are perfectly aligned.
And we still got 3 more hours to go.
Yeah, we're just we're a tenth of the way there, Daddy.
Yeah. We were talking before we started with Dave Silva. Do we really want to watch this whole fucking show?
Because here's the thing, the Coliseum video, even they cut an hour out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then you can't have. There was different levels. Boy, I feel old even talking about this. But you had like 3 different settings for the quality. So if you wanted the shittiest quality, you could record more time.
Right.
If you wanted a medium quality, you could record a little less time. Well, of course, they're selling these VHS gimmicks back then for some absurd amount, like $69 or $89 or $119. It was a crazy amount of money for a VHS back then. Anyway, to get the highest quality setting, it meant you could only be like 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours, 40 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I know because I put those things together, and the key was back then, the Hogan match stayed in its entirety.
Of course.
And that was the centerpiece, and you knew that you would go in and say, how long's a Hogan match? And you would time it out, and then you would say, okay, now this is how much we have left for the video cassette.
For everybody else.
And there was something else too about this video cassette I could tell you about. When you click on, I don't know if it's the exact same thing as the box cover, but when you go to the Peacock and you click on WrestleMania 5, and the still shot you see is the Macho Man Randy Savage on the left and Hulk Hogan on the right, doing their poses.
Right.
Coliseum Video, to make them both fit on the cover, kind of manipulated the images a little bit. And thus they made Hogan look a little bit smaller than Savage. And Vince blew a gasket on that, because you do not make Hulk Hogan look smaller on the box than you do the Macho Man Randy Savage. And I remember I don't think I took a lot of heat about it because I was brand new, and because actually probably it had already been marketed. But I remember he talked to me about that, and Bruce talked to me about that should never happen. Hulk Hogan should be the biggest and look the best.
Yes.
And be the center point of everything that we do.
Yes.
There was a lot of the covers that they did that Vince didn't like. And so, yeah, there's the cover right there. You see how the Macho Man has most of the front cover?
Yeah, he's taking more percentage-wise than Hogan. And he looks to be the same height as Hogan, which he is not.
Right, right. And there you see, I mean, if there should have been any pythons in there, that it should have been Hogan's. Right? Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so the cover of that box was... Well, we suffered through that. So, yeah, so we cut it down a great deal.
Man, two iconic characters here, $1 Million Man and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. No matter what you think of them as performers or characters or whatever, you can't deny that they are two of the biggest stars of this era. And what big time gimmicks too. I mean, cutting the guy's hair after you win the match. It's silly but fun. And the $1 Million Man, just a once in a lifetime gimmick.
And one of the better workers of his era as well.
Oh, no doubt. And Virgil, man, he was looking real jacked in that outfit. And have you heard any rumors about Virgil over the years?
I know what you're getting at, but let's go to one of my favorite people of all time.
He has something in common with Virgil.
It is also a favorite event, obviously, of Luke and Butch. I say, you chaps at the training table here, preparing for your match. I see it.
Yeah, we're ready, mate. We're ready.
Well, obviously, their reputation has preceded them. Their opponents claim to find them extremely offensive inside the ring, and obviously, looking at this, they're pretty offensive outside the ring, too. Tell me, Luke, how do you expect to counter the speed of the fabulous Rougeau brothers? Oh, very, very interesting. Butch, how would you deal with the speed of the fabulous Rougeau brothers?
That's me and Silva when we go to lunch together.
A primitive and private opinion by Butch. Let me return you to a more civilized environment.
Hey, something you might not know about Silva, but during the pandemic, they had the option here to send the kids, to let the kids do homeschooling. That became really popular nationwide because it's not like they could send them to school. Schools were shut down. And then even once school got up and going again, it was an option for a bit. Do you want to go in or do you want to do it from home? Well, now, of course, things are more back to normal and the kids are going to school and the actual building every day. And so now anytime I want to make plans to do something with Silva, we always have to factor in what time does he have to go get the kids from school. Mm-hmm. And so I'll be like, hey, man, you want to go to lunch? And he's like, when are you thinking? I'll be like 11:30. He goes, I got to get the kids at 3:30. I won't have time. It's 4 fucking hours. Well, I don't know what kind of lunch we were going to do. Well, not a bushwhacker lunch. Like, we're just go get some goddamn chicken, and then in an hour we'll be done. Oh, well, I might could do that. But if you fuck around and you're like, hey, man, you want to go to lunch? It's 12:40. We'll never make it. Okay. By the way, I know what you're thinking. Who the fuck was a bushwhacker fan? Cassio Kid, his favorite all-time tag team. I'm not kidding.
That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, see, there you go. You're going to see that a lot.
Yeah.
You nearly ate shit right there.
So this is one of your memories of WrestleMania 5, right?
Yeah, of course. And here's why. Now, I know you don't remember this, But there is a part in this match
Mm-hmm.
where I think it's Raymond Rougeau. It might be Jacques. We'll see in a minute. Goes to pick up a bushwhacker for a body slam. And after he posts up, he takes that hand and he rubs the junk back and forth and then gives it a little squeeze. And it's right on camera. So he's clearly just having fun and enjoying the moment with his buddy.
Yeah.
And I don't think he had any idea, boy, this is going to be recorded and shown all over the world. I mean, he probably knew, all right, it's going to be on closed circuit. These people are going to see. It's on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
He probably didn't know video cassettes would catch on the way they did. And it would be such a blockbuster business-wise for them. And he probably had no idea that this thing, Al Gore would create this thing we're on right now called the internet. And eventually it would be on demand and on YouTube and on social media. None of that shit existed. So here he is forever and ever, just rubbing ding dong. Licking faces and rubbing ding dong. Sounds like he's in a different industry.
I want to go back and just say something about Lord Alfred Hayes.
Please do. We love Lord Alfred Hayes. That whale rope.
Just truly, I would say, of my favorite people in pro wrestling of all time, top 5.
Really?
Yeah. Favorite people of all time.
Now, of course, we know Tony Khan's number 1.
Well, Tony's number 1, Tony Khan number 2, Tony Khan number 3, Tony Khan number 4, and then Lord Alfred Hayes number 5.
Checks out.
Yep.
Checks right out.
Okay.
I got to tell you, I don't know what I'm looking forward to more. Seeing the rub and tug here or you seeing it? Because I don't think you probably ever paid attention to it, and you helped put the damn tape together.
I know. So I guess I kept it on the tape. I don't know. I'm sure I did.
I love this Three Stooges bumper here.
Yeah.
That's fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's a house show move.
We have seen recently on one of these episodes of What Happened When, the sheep herders.
Yes.
And
a
how
different presentation.
Very much a different presentation. Did you ever read anything from or talk to Butch or Luke? And I recently saw Luke in Baltimore at a contract signing, and about their decision to do this, and did they push back at first, or did they go with it? And all of a sudden realize
I read their book. They had a book that came out last year. It was actually pretty decent. Nobody talked about it, but if you're a fan of this era, it was pretty fun. Lots of rib stories in there. Lots of fun 80s WWF stories. Good stuff.
Yeah, the rib stories are the best. And, you know, it's because the ribs are not what they used to be. Because the world is not what it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I used to, kill each other's dogs and feed them to each other.
Well, we didn't, but it did happen before.
You used to take shits, flatten them out, and then slide them through the cracked window of someone's backseat window and just let that turd bake in the open, boiling sun all day.
No, we didn't, but it did happen.
Yeah.
Bobby Heenan took a hamburger loaded with onions and balled it up and put it in a bag and put it in my rental car one time.
My God.
Under the seat. And I kept saying, God, this car stinks. What the fuck?
There it is. There it is. You missed it.
I missed it.
Raymond Rougeau just got rubbed and tugged right in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania 5.
Son of a bitch.
You're just over here talking about your onion balls and how bad they smell.
They do smell bad. They did smell bad. Did.
Smell better. No, they're not sponsoring us this week either.
They're not.
You still got Stinky Nuts.
Yeah, no, I don't, because I use their products. Thank you very much. Free plug.
No, listen, we all do. Everybody wants, I don't know what makes them want to do what they do, but I know what makes them not want to. You know what I mean? I got you.
Did Cassie ever tell you the texting that we did back and forth during the show the other night?
No.
Oh, you need to talk to him about that.
He's in Pensacola. His
Oh,
wife's doing a CrossFit competition. He went to fucking watch.
Yeah, of course he did.
Casio Kid, he likes to watch.
Well, here's the deal. You know him and you know Judy. If Judy tells him to climb up a tree and take a shit, he's going to do that.
Yes.
So anyway, it was a lot of communication went on my telephone during the show on Wednesday because there was a Lois Rules sign.
Oh,
there
it's
was
huge.
a Schiavone Conrad 2024 sign.
Really
Or
appreciate
Schiavone
that,
Thompson.
by the
Yeah.
way.
By the way, I talked to the gentleman who had those signs. He's a police officer in the Kansas City area. And
Oh, wow.
He listens to our, didn't get his name, but if I did, I forgot it. I'm sorry, but he listens to us in his cruiser as he's traveling around. And so I told him how much I appreciated it.
Absolutely.
So I kind of made the mistake. I sent you a text before the show, and I said, Schiavone Thompson 2024 sign, get ready for it. You're going to see it. And then I made the mistake of texting Lois, said there's a Lois Rules sign. You'll see it. Well, we didn't see it during the first match. And, of course, I get a text. Where was it? I didn't see it. When's it going to come up? And I text her during a commercial break as we're doing our picture-in-picture. I text her back. I said, I don't know when it's going to. I'm not there. I don't know. Let's go to Sean Mooney first.
Here, I have a gentleman. Look at. Oh. As you can see, guys are great.
Oh, look at that. He's all bent out of shape down there, Jess. Look at him. Mooney was kissing him back. I don't blame him.
Mere words cannot explain what it feels like to be licked by a bushwhacker. Really, you ever have a dog that really likes you?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, anyway, I'm going to go find a brush and a towel and dry off. Back to you.
Sean Mooney having a good time here at WrestleMania.
I love Sean Mooney.
No, man. What a good
Wrestling. Why don't y'all hire Sean Mooney?
Why don't we hire Sean Mooney?
Just get Sean Mooney. What's the worst that could happen?
I don't know. I don't hire. There's nothing bad that could happen. It could only help us. Right?
Well, yeah, let's fucking get Sean Mooney. Hashtag hire Sean Mooney. By God, let's get it trending.
Yeah.
Sean Mooney's the man.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about texting and Lois being upset that.
Oh, yes.
I didn't see the sign during the first match.
And I said, well, I text her back. I said, I'm not the one holding up the signs.
Yeah.
Then I get another text. Where is it? I said, oh God. I almost wanted during the commercial break or send a note down to Justin Roberts. Say, Justin, if we get a chance, tell them to hold that fucking sign up so she'll leave me alone. And finally they held it up, and there you go. So it worked, and that was pretty cool. Well, I go in the ring to talk to Kenny Omega after that 5-star match, which I will think in my mind it was a 5-star match. Go down to talk to him afterwards, and then they're holding up the signs. So that was pretty cool.
Mr. Perfect making, I believe, his WrestleMania debut here. I don't remember off the top of my head if he was on 4 or not. I don't think so. But this is a big-time match because he's wrestling Owen Hart here as the Blue Blazer. Let's take a listen.
Ramp referring to the Blue Blazer.
His opponent from Park Unknown, weighing 229
What a sight.
the Blue Blazer.
Watch the way he flips in the ring, dude. This is way ahead of its time for the time. Remember now, this is 89. So anything off the top rope gets attention.
Right.
But going up and flipping backwards like this, which again, these days would not be considered a big deal. But back then, that was a big deal.
Well, why was the decision to call him the Blue Blazer at the first part? Because they didn't want a second Hart?
Well, no, because listen, man, I don't know if you've been watching the show, but we just had a motherfucker come out there doing this and licking children. You know what I mean? And then
you wanted gimmicks, right?
The guy before that was cutting people's hair and going like this. And
Right.
the guy before that was a white guy shucking and jiving.
Right.
And he was tag teaming with a corrections officer. And there was another guy in a sequin suit and a fake $1 million belt with dollar signs all over it. And he's wrestling a guy right now called Mr. Perfect. So him just coming out there as Billy Jenkins ain't going to get it.
Do you think that Kurt Hennig, I shouldn't say this, but I'm sorry. Kurt Hennig intentionally had his package wrapped up like that to where you could see it in his tights?
I mean, I think that I don't how should he have fashioned his own penis?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't talk about how people fashion their own penises. I mean, I only know how.
Well, what's he supposed to do with it? Stick it
I
up
don't
his
know,
own ass?
but it just seems like he's doing his best to make sure everybody can see it.
He's not aroused.
How do you know?
What would be pointed out? When a man gets aroused, it points out. I know that as a man who points out.
When you say points out, you go points out.
It does. But you're saying, oh, look what he's doing. It's down.
I'm just saying.
Like his penis is in a resting position. His penis is taking a nap right now. He's got the night off.
Oh, God. I don't know.
You're saying he should have worn trunks underneath the trunks.
I'm just saying he should have done something better to cover it up. But since he's Mr. Perfect, then he would have had the perfect penis, right?
Wow.
Right?
I don't really know.
Isn't that part of the gimmick? Okay.
I don't know much about wrestler cocks.
I don't either, but there were vignettes done on him about bowling the 300, the perfect game.
They never broke out the tape measure, Tony.
Well, I had
show me with your tape measure.
Okay.
How big you think Mr. Perfect's perfect package was?
Well, obviously,
when it would stick out. I mean, when it's sticking out.
Obviously. I mean, hang on. There's not enough ceiling here.
Wow, it's a retractable go-go gadget penis.
Yeah.
Wow. Regular part of our routine now. When we do live shows again, you better bring that fucking tape measure.
It's always here.
The tape measure shirt is available now at lowestrules.com.
Yeah, we got to do something with the tape measure on it and some sort of catchphrase in the bottom of it. I don't know.
How do you measure up? How many stars is that hog meat?
Yeah. How many stars is that hog meat?
Buddy, if we get Rebel just strutting around backstage one day at Dynamite and she goes to you, hey, Tony, how many stars is that hog meat?
Oh, God. Isn't it amazing once we start talking about foul, terrible things, how, boy, the comments start flowing in, don't they?
Because that's what people want, Tony.
That's what they wanted. They wanted those all, like Coach Rosie, Ken Smock, Brian, I hope I pronounced your last name right, Harzema, Roger Fowler, Darren Staley, all of you just want to talk, Josh Fields, Coach Rosie, all you guys just want to talk about dick. What's wrong with you guys?
Talk about your dick.
What's wrong with you guys, okay?
We're adult
men. Move the conversation somewhere else. Help me here. Help me.
Well, you're the one who brought it up, Tony. I'm talking about Owen Hart in the blue blazer. And you're like, have you taken a look at Mr. Perfect's dick? Do you think it really was perfect?
Oh, I certainly.
Why did you fashion it that way?
Oh,
What's he supposed to do with it?
I certainly hope Brooke is no longer on here with us. Bless your heart, my dear. You're a good young lady, and you got to put up with Conrad and all his obscene talk.
What? I take great offense to that.
Oh, boy, man, how about the blazer going in real slow into the corner there? Something told me he wasn't ready for that. Also,
What do you think of this match, man? You got two of the best in-ring performers of all time here.
You can tell that Owens is having problems with the mask. He's adjusted it many times, and it just comes from not. Oh, by the way, there's Tim White, the referee, who's no longer with us, and by the way, was
everybody in the ring's dead. By the way,
yes, they are. But what I was saying is Tim White was Andre the Giant's chauffeur, right?
Yeah, his handler, if you will.
His handler, yeah. There was a van, and the van, by the way, stayed parked out front of 120 Hamilton, which was Titan TV back then.
Perfect took his head off right there.
Mm-hmm.
That looked fantastic.
Perfect plex.
Setting it up. Here we go. Let's track it.
Here comes cradle suplex, perhaps. No. That's the perfect plex. Oh, sorry. And he got it. He certainly did. Perfect plex indeed. Let's go to Howard.
Here is your winner, Mr. Perfect.
And Tony, right now, I feel like we need to take a timeout. We're going to go ahead and stop it down at 58:21. There it is. I'll tell you what, if you want to wake up feeling perfect every day, here's what you need. A little athletic greens in your life. AG1 has become a regular part of both Tony and my life. We start every single day with it because we want to optimize our immune system. We want better gut health, more energy. And if you're like me and you don't really like taking pills or vitamins, you want a supplement that tastes great, well, this checks all the boxes. Let me explain. What is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're getting everything you need to start your day right. It's a special blend of ingredients to support your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your focus, your recovery, your aging, all of the things. In total, it's 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Think of it as like your all-in-one nutritional insurance. By the way, it's also lifestyle-friendly. Whether you're trying to do keto or paleo or vegan, or maybe you're dairy-free or gluten-free, well, this will work for you. It's got less than 1 gram of sugar. There's no GMOs. As a matter of fact, there's no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, but somehow it still tastes good. And it helps you with better sleep quality and recovery, better mental clarity and alertness. And we think that you're going to love it. Don't just take our word for it. They've got over 7,000 5-star reviews, and we think it's time you should reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Check it out, y'all. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And Tony, we got a special offer right now, don't we?
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply. That's a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/WHW. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/WHW to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
And Tony, we're at 58-21 here of WrestleMania 5. Let's get back to it here in 3, 2, 1, play.
Take a look at some of the action that went down earlier on in this one. What a match this was.
Here you see the crucifix right there. Down into it by the Blue Blazer. Here was almost the major upset. Look how close. Wow, he did get it off, though.
Yeah,
he got the shoulder up. Good call by the referee. Blazer questioning the referee. Perfect, catches him with that vicious forearm right there. And then up into the perfect plex. Right there, Gorilla. Look at that beautiful bridge. I
got to tell you, as a kid, I was really impressed with the perfect plex.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was a cool finishing maneuver.
Yeah, it was good. And it's something that back then, when you did something like that, no one else would use it as a high spot.
That's right.
And today, wow. Hey, this is quite a venue, man. Of course, we've done a couple of TV shows here. AEW has, and it's vast, as you can tell. Look how far away those people are from the.
How about they're introducing Jesse Ventura here? Check this out.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, boy, did he set me up for this one. Take a good look, folks. The Body. Jesse, I am Jess. Yeah, take it easy up there. I wouldn't want you to fall over the railing. As this capacity crowd is, I am Jess. I'm giving you all the accolades. Saying the whole world loves me. Well, he certainly doesn't have a whole lot of money tied up in wardrobe, I'll tell you that. There's no conceit in the Ventura family. Jesse's got it all.
My mom has said that about me before.
Yeah.
There's no conceit in our family. You have it all.
On the production end of it, they're a little tough getting a good shot of him.
Well, here's the thing. Bruce just talked about this on his fabulous podcast called Something to Wrestle.
Which, by the way, I need to say has been the standard bearer for us for a long time.
Well, how about you being complimentary of old Brucey?
Yep.
He talked about how, man, you could never do that today. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, he was just standing right there on the railing. Like, no safety, like never in a million years would that happen, because he could have just easily fallen. He goes, I remember even then saying, hey, man, I don't think we need to do that. That's not a good idea. And he's like, Ventura just blew it off. Like, what? I'll be fine.
Yeah. Right.
Like, duh. But different era. Couldn't do that now. Mm-hmm. And here we see the 5K from the day before WrestleMania. which we will never be implementing as a part of StarCast. We will never have a StarCast 5K, and if we do, my wife and Big Booty Judy will be doing the Mr. Fuji and Lord Alfred Hayes role, because me and Cassio Kid will not be there.
Yeah.
Although we might be there in Cassio role just watching.
Well, Brooke would win it because she basically runs 5Ks every weekend.
There you go.
I'm proud of my daughter. And there they go.
So your real shoot daughter. I think we just passed is this right? 5 years ago was her anniversary. She got married 5 years ago.
Yes, I believe so. Right.
Can you believe that this podcast, one of the ways I was able to sell you on doing this silly shit is you were like, well, they got to pay for this wedding. Okay. And that wedding was 5 years ago. We thought 5 years ago, well, this is the end of the podcast.
Yeah. We'll pay for the wedding and see you. And
Yeah.
look at us.
Look at you back on Turner. Look at you.
Yeah. It's an amazing story, isn't it? I mean, it's
crazy.
It blows my mind. Sometimes when I get worn out from this business, and it's easy to get worn out from this business when you travel like we do. And again, I don't travel in a car for 8 hours like they used to do, but when I get worn out from it, I stop and think about where I was and where I am now. So it all comes back to me, and I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate you, Conrad. I've said it many times, but I appreciate everybody else watching our show. And it's time for the WrestleMania wrap.
It's Run DMC, man. And this was listen, I know that it's easy to make fun of this now, but Run DMC was a big doggone deal.
Oh, of course they were.
I need you to have a chain like that. Like, do you think you could wear a big chain like that? What if I got like you not like a big dookie chain like that, but what if I like a big rope? What if I got you a Cuban link? Did you wear a Cuban link on TV?
No. Because people would say Tony Schiavone's making fun of the rap culture. He's being racist. That's what. Whoa.
But what did they say when you got, your middle of the mall earrings in?
That it was cool?
Nobody said that ever. That's not ever been said. That's a lie. You a lie, which is available now at lowestrolls.com.
Are we going to listen to this? Are we allowed to listen to it?
Yeah, we'll play it here. Shit. Yeah. I don't care.
Ho! Ho, ho. There's DJ Turnup.
Why are we doing this when we can't do Tony Reed's rap?
Because they're good at it, and me,
you're better at it, man. That Kevin Gates song, I need you on here talking about dropping dick off in the morning.
No,
that would pop the internet so hard.
I really actually was thinking about trying to look at this. Look at your reaction. I was thinking about trying to record me rapping with my own lyrics, not talking about hoes or dicks or anything like that, but my own lyrics to a.
That's what you rap about, Tony.
No, you don't have to rap about
money,
that.
Cars, clash, hoes, dicks. That's all. Yes, that's what it's about.
This was rap in the formative years, wasn't it?
Yeah, 89 was a long time ago. It sure was.
It sure was. But even before then, there was Rapper's Delight. You remember that? The
Oh,
Rapper's
yeah.
Delight song?
Believe it or not, I'm not even making this up. Bruce just did that the other day on the show.
Really?
He rapped the whole thing off the top of his head. Now, it wasn't very good.
Well, the original Rapper's Delight, which I've got, is one side of an album.
Look at that, walking right through the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool exit, at least.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were doing it before the Shield was.
Mm-hmm.
Suck it from the back. Oh, there you go. Tony Schiavone going to do his own rap. When should we expect this? We have it ready by next week?
No.
Week after?
No.
How are we going to tape next week's show? We haven't talked about that.
Oh. Oh,
No,
are you going to be at WrestleCon?
No, I'm not going. I mean, yes, I'm not signing at WrestleCon. I'm going to go visit friends at WrestleCon. But I am not one of Cody's friends who abandoned him like you are. So I'm going to be there and watch him win the world title, you see.
Oh, you're going to be at WrestleMania?
Yeah. Wasn't the original plan, but I saw him a few weeks ago. And then I was like, well, I guess I got to go. So.
Okay, well.
So I'm not going to be there. And I'm taking 411 fuck sheets on Casio Kid.
Yeah.
So he would normally be my stunt double here. But he too will be, not available. Yeah.
Okay, looks like we got either going to have to record on Tuesday or we got a best of coming up.
I like it. See you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday. Oh, by the way, we also got to record some bonus episodes.
Better do that as well.
Next couple of days. Are you available?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Oh, by the way, for you, for those of you, all of you who are with us and are on Patreon, we've got some pretty good, some very cool bonus episodes coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about them. You can if you'd like, but
Yeah.
I know that it is going to be special because we've got 2 pieces of bonus content that are exclusive that you don't even get at ad-free shows. It's just for the WHW Patreon, which is patreon.com/WHW Monday. But you want to talk about some out there stuff. You want to tell them what it is?
What we are watching, we're going to be watching the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express before the Jim Crockett era from the Sam Houston Coliseum.
How about that?
We're talking and we're going to be watching something from old school Memphis, and this is not old school Memphis. Jeff Jarrett, Jerry Jarrett. This is old school CM Punk, and is on one team and. Let's see, who's on the other? Claudio Castagnoli's on the other team. Wow. We're talking about before they were stars.
Yes.
We're going to see a match. Chris Candido is in the match. Ace Steel is in the match. Matt Sydal. It's really, really cool. So we're going to watch that. It's what was that called? Was it IWA, Memphis Wrestling back then?
IWA Mid-South.
IWA Mid-South. We're going to watch that.
Ian Rotten. Who you should probably Google sometime, Tony.
Ian Rotten.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
was the promoter. He wrestled.
Both. He was both. He was the promoter and he wrestled. Hey, speaking of guys who can talk.
We got all these people. We're the champions. We're on top of the mountain. And nobody, especially you little overstuffed rat. I'm talking about you, Foods the Stooge. You're not going to do anything. We're going to grab you around the neck, squeeze those eyeballs out, and get you right out of time.
All right, the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions on their way for a title defense.
Tony, when I first saw Demolition, I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, these guys look like badasses.
Right.
And then I get a little older.
Uh-huh.
And I take a look back at Demolition and I say to myself, these were some S&M sexual deviants here into bondage and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was at 7 years old. And now I sit here as a 41-year-old and it's not my thing. I'm still like not into it, but I recognize it when I see it, sort of thing.
Right.
Did you think that when you first came over? Wow, we got some S&M dudes here just marching to the ring and we're marketing it to children.
No, I didn't think that at all. I thought, oh, this is their version of the Road Warriors.
Their version of the Road Warriors are standing in the ring right now. The Powers of Pain that is the Road Warrior ripoff.
Okay, I thought this was. I thought Axe and Smash were, and then I got there, and I thought their entrance music was so cool.
It is the best. I don't know if it's on this or not.
Yeah.
Let's listen.
It
It is.
The champs, Axe and Smash Demolition. And this is the first of our 3 title defenses, Gorilla. Certainly is. It's still to come, the Intercontinental.
Those tag titles that they're wearing right there are one of my only remaining quote unquote holy grails of belt collecting. One of the belts is down in Florida.
Yeah.
One is in Massachusetts. They're both with private collectors. Neither one of the guys are really looking to trade it or do anything with it. But what I like about it is Demolition was one of my favorite tag teams as a kid before I knew they were sexual deviants. And then, of course, we know that Arn and Tully are going to hold these same belts, and even Andre and Haku. And that Andre Haku Demolition switch actually happened here in Huntsville with these belts.
Whoa.
So I just think, man, that'd be cool to have. I know I'll never be able to land both of them, but if I could just land one of them. So I just keep looking to see if there's something I can get that maybe one of those guys in Florida or Massachusetts want. And then, I'll have some cool trade bait. Grab one of those.
It may be like money.
No, these guys are independently wealthy. They don't care about money. You get to a point where it's like, if you offered them 50 grand for the belt, they wouldn't take it. And it ain't worth it. But it's like, nah, I don't. Because in their head, what am I going to do with 50 grand? I really like this thing. And I understand that.
So there are a lot of, and I know you're a collector of belts, and I know there's a lot of people out there who are really into belts. I know Jeff Jones, who is, works with us. He's really into belts. I don't know if he owns any of his own, but how many big time belt collectors are out there? Are there a lot?
Yeah, there are a lot. I mean, I would say there are dozens of guys who have spent a bunch of money on it. I think there are probably a half dozen that have really substantial ring use collections.
Okay.
Like right at the top of that list, of course, is Mr. Dan Lambert.
Yeah, right.
And then there's a guy in Massachusetts, a guy in New York, a guy in Louisiana. Some people would say I'm on the list.
Yeah, of course you are. You got to be.
That's probably a half dozen or so.
Look behind you. You've got to be on the list.
You back there. There's some interesting ones.
Yeah. As far as belt collecting is concerned, let me ask you this question, because
by the way, I just want you to understand, we're watching as close as the WWF could put together for Demolition versus Road Warriors right now.
Yes, right.
Like when you take a look at, and I know you disagree and you wanted to say Demolition, but the black long tights with the red letters down the side, the black boots, the crazy hairstyles where they're shaved in weird spots and they got paint. That is very Road Warrior-esque with the Powers of Pain or sporting.
Got it.
Like you telling me that doesn't look like Animal or Hawk a little bit on the outside?
Yeah, that's fine. I get it. I'm with you. Yeah.
Meanwhile, this guy looks like, peg me, put on the strap on and peg me, make me suck on it. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Chain me up, god damn it.
Hey, I don't know. I wasn't the booker back then. Did you ask Bruce about this?
He said the Powers of Pain were the LOD ripoffs, because I first said the same thing you did.
Yeah.
He goes, dude, no, look at them.
Yeah, no, he's right.
He modeled the Powers of Pain, even their hairstyles right after it. And I was like, fuck, I missed that. I was so focused on the other one. He goes, yeah, Demolition got a bigger push, but candidly, they could have better matches than. Okay, well, that makes sense.
That wasn't the question. The question is about the S&M thing.
Yeah, I've asked about that.
They do that intentionally? Okay. Was that
no, I mean, he thought that was more of a Mad Max thing. And realistically, if you go look at like Lord Humongous and all the Mad Max inspired wrestling characters, they all wore shit that was similar to this.
Yeah.
So Demolition was more of a Mad Max ripoff. Powers of Pain were LOD ripoff. Mm-hmm. Nobody was thinking about putting pinkies in the butt back then. Well, I guess they were, but you know what I mean.
Okay.
So belt collectors.
Yes. Here's a question, because, you can, belts are for sale now. You can get your own replica belt.
Yes.
Which obviously is not like the original versions, but it's still a replica belt.
Yes.
have the advent of replica belts devalued real belts?
Well, that's a great question, Tony, and it's a complicated answer. Let me go down a little rabbit hole for a minute.
Okay.
First of all, mass-produced replicas, like the ones that AEW makes, are so good, they're indistinguishable from the real thing.
Wow.
When you take them off of the quote-unquote leather they come on, and you re-leather them and put them on the same type and quality and cut of leather that they use for the real belts, they're indistinguishable. Here's how indistinguishable they are. You guys are using replica belts on TV right now.
Wow.
Not all of them, but some of them.
Wow.
I'll tell you which ones later because I don't
didn't
know. I know that. I can tell.
I can't tell.
When Kenny Omega was the world champion, he used a replica belt.
Wow.
It was a replica belt that was re-leathered. Nobody knew that. I mean, I guess a handful of people could tell, but it's so good that you can't tell a difference.
Okay.
And because they're mass produced, they're much, much more affordable. Just the production process of making a one-off, quote unquote, from scratch, it's different material, it's manufactured differently, and candidly, it's done here in America. A lot of the replicas are not. That is what has actually hurt some of the collectible market. If you got a real deal licensed replica made by some of the actual belt makers who made the real ones that were on TV, they might be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. The guys abroad, specifically, I'm not picking, but this is the country of origin where a lot of these come from, is Pakistan. They have figured out how to make these very, very cheap. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not high quality. There are some really good, quote unquote, replicas,
obviously,
coming out of Pakistan that are indistinguishable. You wouldn't notice the difference. And a lot of times, even I wouldn't. Now, there might be in person, I could tell a difference, but they've gotten better and better because originally they didn't have the original artwork, Tony. So they're just guessing. So they would guess on size and designs and just look at reference photos and do their best. But that's evolved a lot. Now, in the belt community, those are known, Tony, if they're using an unlicensed logo. Like, for instance, they don't have permission from the WWE to create WWF replicas. Even WWF or WWE can't do that themselves. Like, they have to say WW. But fans don't want that. They want what they grew up with.
Yeah.
Trouble is, you can't license it because even WWE can't do it.
Right.
So when these guys print them and make them and sell them on their own, it's considered a bootleg, which is accurate. I mean, I know that some people get offended by that, but if you're not paying the appropriate licensing fees and you don't have a contract to do that, it is a bootleg. So that has hurt the real collectible market. But as far as the ring use market, it hasn't affected it at all.
Okay.
But instead of spending, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for a high quality replica made by the belt manufacturer here in America, and you can get one overseas for $600 that looks almost identical. Well, shit, I'm doing that. And I understand that as a function of, it's more affordable and all that. However, you're ripping off somebody's art. You're cutting out the company that made it possible. And the company that created it.
Right.
And if you don't steal cable, you probably shouldn't steal that either.
Yeah.
So I understand that. I also understand, hey man, I'm just a wrestling fan and I ain't got $6,000. I got $600. So I understand why people do it, but I don't have any bootlegs behind me.
I understand why people do it as well. I don't necessarily agree with selling them. I think it's basically theft.
It is theft. There ain't no basically, it is.
Yeah. Just like if you sell someone's logo and put it on a t-shirt.
Just and like if you want to watch an AEW illegal pirated pay-per-view stream, that too is theft.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that gets me when people sort of brag about that sort of stuff. It's like, because listen, we had Ric Flair's last match and we would do Starcasts and broadcast all the panel shows. And I would see people asking, hey, I need a free link. Hey, I need the pirated thing. It's like, you realize if you steal everything, eventually no one will make anything.
They don't realize that.
No, but I'm saying eventually,
they don't give a shit. Yeah.
There's a real cost associated. Look at how old school this is and how much time he's taken. Watch. Who would have ever guessed that Fuji would throw the salt? Oh man, Darso took care of him there. That was the babiest of all clotheslines. And here comes a finish that I loved as a kid. Man, me and my friends used to hit this on some motherfuckers in the pool in the living room all day long. Here we go.
If he hits this, it's over. Oh, he nailed him. Forget about it. This one is history.
I had a conversation by text this past week, Tony. What's your opinion on it? What's the best tag team finisher of all time?
Wow. I like the top rope bulldog the Steiners did. Remember they did that?
Yep. What about the Doomsday Device from LOD?
Yeah, that was pretty fucking cool too.
What about the Power and Glory one? Do you remember that one? Hercules and Paul Roma?
No, I don't.
So one guy, Hercules, would superplex his opponent into the ring, and then here comes Paul Roma with a big splash right after.
No, that's cool.
It's like suplex splash. I put it over on Twitter years ago, and that might have been the second time I talked to. I guess his name is Dax now, and they started using it, and I love that move and the Shatter Machine are probably the two best tag team moves right now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, man, that Doomsday Device, guys didn't want to take that for real. No thanks. Right. I'll pass.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Oh my God.
Look at you.
Federation champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage. He has refused us each time. We're going to try one more time right before this big matchup here today.
Get out of here! I told you no interview. Come on, I'll knock you out. Hulk Hogan, I'm ready.
So his locker room was the size of a broom closet.
Yeah.
It was a 2x2.
Vince didn't like the way I did that, but he went with it.
Why didn't he like it?
He thought I should have seemed, and in reality, I know what he means now. I should have seemed more frightened, frazzled. You're like, oh my God, I'm trying to get in there. Whoa, and again, I was just like, I just wasn't used to doing things like that. I was just used to the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, the Four Horsemen. You're just holding the microphone. Frenchie Martin.
You ever smoke weed in an airport bathroom with him?
Never did, but he was one of the great ribbers of all time.
Let's hear about it.
Okay. I may have told this story, but it's worth telling again. How about rugged Ronnie Garvin here?
Fresh off of a title run in the NWA.
Yeah.
Taking on your man. Man, how about this lack of sideburns? Fuck a sideburn. Ronnie Garvin ain't got time for no sideburns.
Okay, so Frenchie Martin used to, I never did see this, but I've heard so many stories, it's got to be true. Used to take a Halliburton case and load it up with sexual devices.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like dildos and the such.
Things that vibrate and shake and move. Yes.
And used to gimmick it to where it would spring open.
Oh.
And he would walk down the airport with it and do a pratfall, and it would spring open, and the sexual devices would spread across the floor. And he would very quickly, embarrassed, pick them up, and he would see a lady standing over where maybe a dildo was at her feet, and he would say, "Pardon me, madame, would you mind picking that up for me?" Just to see if she would pick it up.
He wanted to see if she would pick it up.
Pick it up. And there were many times I was told that at the baggage carousel, he would reach in for his bag and take a pratfall on the carousel and would be laying on the carousel with his back and his hands flaying like, "Oh, get me off." That he was the master at that. So
can you real fast tell us what a fucking pratfall is?
Pratfall
is live in Prattville. Is that similar?
Pratfall is when you take a fall that's not really a fall. Okay. It would be a fake bump where you come from.
I got you. So this past week on Dynamite,
it would be a Gunnersville gash. How about that?
That's a different thing. I don't mean what you think it means.
Okay, so go
ahead. That's a different thing.
I set you up for that one.
No, wee. That's a different thing.
Wee. Would you mind picking up? Wee, madam, would you mind picking up my Gunnersville gash?
Yes. I will pick it up in a convertible. Wee.
Merci beaucoup.
Oh, Tony. Hey, what are you doing like April 6th?
My
Coming
God.
home from where?
I'm coming home. Yeah, I'm coming home from. That's what day of the week?
Thursday. It's a Thursday.
I'm going to be in. Rhode Island.
You're not coming home?
No, we've got a live
The Friday
rampage
show?
on Friday. Yeah. Why? What's going on?
I was driving around through your neck of the woods, and I was going to do something fun, and I was going to say, "Oh, well, let me pick you up. You should go. We'll have fun."
Well, I tell you what you should do.
Stop by and see Linus.
Yes, because it's her birthday.
Are you serious?
April 6th, her birthday. It sure is.
I will make sure of it.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Cassio deliver a strippergram to her.
She wouldn't be able to hear it from the dogs barking. But
well, not going to be not going to be a whole lot to see, but as my cousin Baby Nuts says, it's little, but it's mean.
You got a cousin named Baby Nuts?
I nicknamed him Baby Nuts years ago.
We may have talked about that.
I actually had a chance to watch Alabama choke on Friday night with Baby Nuts. And we're at a bar/restaurant having some beverages, watching some games, and eating some foods. And salad is a thing that they do there pretty well. And that becomes a topic of conversation. And I, as I do every now and again, I'm prone to saying something outrageous and just seeing what kind of response I can get.
Yeah.
You familiar with that phenomenon?
I sure am, yeah.
So I asked Baby Nuts, "Hey man, you ever eat ass with Thousand Island?" And Baby Nuts did not hesitate.
I'm sure.
Did not skip a beat. Did not pause. Did not think. Just immediately said, "I don't eat Thousand Island." I've never been more proud to be related to him in my life. To a question like, would you eat Thousand Island out of an ass? I don't eat Thousand Island.
You do realize that Baby Nuts knows the same thing that we all know. You got to be ready for a comeback when you're with you somewhere.
Dude, he crushed it. I was so proud.
God, this is a bad match.
Everything Dino Bravo ever did was a bad match. Ron Garvin could have good matches if he had a good dance partner. This, unfortunately, is not one of them.
Well,
but they're both Canadian. I'm sure they loved and respected each other. I'm sure they're great friends. I'm sure they dyed their hair together, tanned together, shaved each other's backs, all that. However, this ain't it. As a kid, I was not a fan of this. And if I had to guess, this is not on the Coliseum home video.
Probably not. If it was, we'd try to cut something out of it.
How about most of it?
Okay.
We should cut most of it.
And Ronnie Garvin, former NWA world champ, just does the job in the middle of the ring. You know, when I was growing up, Dino Bravo and Mr. Wrestling Tim Woods were the NWA World Tag Team Champs. So I remember really look at Ronnie, man. I really liked Dino. But then again, that's when I was a kid. Here's the Garvin Stomp.
Stupid.
And no one gave a shit.
A couple other things that Baby Nuts said.
Yeah. Okay.
At our outing, he found himself having maybe a little too much to drink. Had to call a friend to get him a ride home, sort of deal. Okay. He was depressed about Alabama losing. I get it. But there happened to be an attractive bartender there that caught his attention. And he started to, as the kids say, spit some game. You familiar with that?
Spit some game?
Yes.
Well, I know, but I know what you mean.
So he was trying to pick her up, Tony.
Right, exactly.
And here's some of the lines he tried on her. "I fuck with chocolate milk heavy."
Okay. fuck with chocolate
I
milk.
don't think those words have ever touched before. I wrote it down. I fuck with chocolate milk heavy.
Okay, as the person who is trying to be picked up, I would like go, what?
She was an African American lady.
Oh, got it. All right.
And I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
But just the idea that this is a grown man who's admitting that he drinks chocolate milk. And how much? Well, I fucks with it heavy. And the next thing he says is, and he doesn't miss a beat. I'm going to put them together here so you can hear it back to back.
Right.
I fuck with chocolate milk heavy, and I cut my pizza with scissors. What? What do you say? Look at these brainbuster jackets.
Oh, Baby Nuts may be on a level all his own. He may.
Dude, we're gonna get him his own show.
You got to. We
gotta.
Well, you
those
know what?
Jackets, Orange should be selling those jackets right now.
We need to. He needs to record it. Let's see if they stumble here, because what happened was there was about halfway down the ramp there was another step that not everybody realized was there.
Yeah.
And after they got down the steps,
Rene Gallet is staying there, and he's in that spot, and he's yelling to them as they're coming through. No, I'm seriously. Bruce told me that it kept happening, so they just stuck Rene out there.
Yeah.
Imagine if, hey, so you worked WrestleMania this last weekend. Yep. Well, you're a legendary performer and a part of the office. What'd you do? Oh, yeah, it was a good show. No, but what did you do? Well, guys kept tripping. So about halfway through the show, they told me to just go stand out there about halfway. And then as they're coming down, I would yell, watch your step, watch your step. What else did you do? That's pretty much it. So you're this legendary wrestler and a part of the office, and they made you wear a suit and stand in the aisle and say, watch your step. Yeah. Couldn't they have got an usher to do it? Yeah, that's a pretty important job. They wanted me to do it. Watch your step.
Look at this here, man. This is good stuff. After Ronnie Garvin and Dino Bravo,
they haven't been a tag team for a while. Rick Martel and Tito Santana. They put them back together in this match, kind of cold against the Brainbusters. And this is where they're going to do the split angle, where Strikeforce is going to be no more, and the Brainbusters are going to pick up a win. But you got really 4 super talented performers. I mean, no debating that Rick Martel is an all-time great. Same for Arn and Tully. Everybody listening to this knows how much we love them. Bobby's on the outside. And oh, by the way, the other guy's Tito Santana, who in an alternate universe could have been a really, 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 really big deal. He was obviously a big star, great tenure there, made a lot of money. But famously, if you believe the stories, when they're trying to figure out, hey, where do we go next? After Hulk Hogan, and they go with Bret Hart, Tito was in consideration because they felt like, hey, we've done all we can do domestically. We need to grow internationally. And of course, Tito was a huge star south of the border and in Central America and South America, and could give them a more Latin flavor and a more international flair. Meanwhile, Bret Hart was popping off like crazy over in Europe and got all those crazy responses and letters in the mail, and they went with Bret. But what could have been? By the way, take a look at across from the hard cam. When you see the hard cam again, look at the front row, Tony. Look at all the ties.
Yeah.
Lots of white shirts, lots of dark ties. And I mean, Martel's in the middle of the ring right now, but he's covering up too. But if you take a look, that front row is mostly just suit and tie Jones, AKA not wrestling fans.
And I would think a lot of the friends of Donald Trump.
Of course. And listen, I'm for it. It's his spot, and he paid the money, and
Sure.
he should get it, and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying from an enjoyment standpoint, like the it factor a lot of times that takes an okay match and makes it a good match, and a good match and makes it a great match, is the crowd response. And if the crowd's into it, that becomes infectious. It's like yawning. If you've ever just been having a conversation with somebody and they start yawning, shit, you find yourself doing it too, and you weren't even tired.
Yeah.
Same thing. Look, the figure fours get everybody standing up.
Yeah, how about that?
A couple more things from Baby Nuts I want to hit you with.
Oh, boy.
We had a conversation about meat and threes. You familiar with that phrase? We talked about that before.
Meat in threes?
Yes.
It's like and or in?
And.
Okay.
So the idea is it's a restaurant, or as you say, a restaurant.
No, it's a restaurant. I've changed.
There you go.
Thank you.
So let's say you're gonna go to lunch with some guys, and
At a restaurant, right?
at a restaurant,
Okay.
and they have a menu, and it's like, today we got, country fried steak, pork chops, fried chicken, whatever.
Yeah.
You pick one of those, and then
Right.
there's a list of vegetables, sides.
Right.
I want the squash and the corn, or I want the green beans and the collard greens, or
Mac
whatever.
and cheese, right. Got
Yeah,
it.
that sort of thing. So, like,
Yeah.
you've been to G's Country Kitchen here in Huntsville before.
Yes, I have.
That's a meat and three.
Okay.
So we're talking about how G's is the best meat and three
Mhm.
in the area. And somebody said, well, this other place has better fried chicken. And Baby Nuts says, in a loud and clear voice,
Mhm.
if the arm ain't flapping, the food ain't slapping. The idea being, he needs older heavyset ladies to be cooking.
Uh-huh.
And if older heavyset ladies are cooking, then that means their arms
A flapping.
flap. Their triceps are not toned,
Right.
flapping.
Flapping right here. Like, yeah.
And,
Right
yeah.
here.
And if that arm ain't flapping, the
Uh-huh.
food ain't slapping. Look at this orange spot. One of my all-time favorite. He used to call it the hula.
The hula.
Yeah. What do you
Makes
think
you-
about that? If the arm ain't flapping, the food ain't slapping.
First of all, two things here. Number one, you guys being Silva, and you guys, or Cassie or you, need to take a recorder and have Baby Nuts record some of these one-liners, and we need to play them here.
Oh, well, here, no problem. Here's what we're gonna do though. We're finishing the lake house, and we're starting on the boathouse now. And the upstairs of the boathouse is all going to be a podcast studio. And that is just minutes away from Baby Nuts and his brother. And so Cassio, from the minute he met them, has said, we just need to film and record them.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's one thing when they're just stone cold sober, but you get those boys a 12-pack and just click record, it's comedy gold. So there will be a Jones Boys podcast coming real soon.
Oh, very cool.
And you're going to love, I mean, here's what, here's another one from Baby Nuts.
Okay.
You got all that dick and ain't going to give me none. That is that's a t-shirt. Oh, something else he said, which we might actually make a t-shirt, and we'll have to cut it in because he loves this one. He may have even trademarked it.
Okay.
But he is at the age where he's a young man. He's just turned 29, and he's looking to get after it, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
Make a bunch of money and
Mm-hmm.
chase a lot of girls, sort of thing.
What a life.
Well, there's been discussions that are inappropriate that happen where
Really.
they say things like, are you with this guy or are you with that guy?
Okay.
Are you into this or are you into that, sort of thing? And they're talking about a lady's physical attributes. You can imagine.
Here we see the Martell walking away.
He's walking out, and we're going to see the promo backstage after. We'll play that.
Okay. So
he goes, he definitely has a preference on these attributes. See, there's Rene Goulet. Watch your step. There it is. He likes the phrase, and I think he may have trademarked the phrase, cheeks for weeks. He likes girls with the big old booties.
Apparently so.
Cheeks for weeks. That's
Wow.
pretty good. He came up with that on his own. You know what? We might have him do a guest spot here in the next couple of weeks. Just have him do a run in and watch some wrestling with us. He'll have no idea what we're talking about. He'll just say dumb shit and you'll love it.
I hope so. Sometimes when the lights are on, people change.
That's right. They freeze.
Yep.
Well, this motherfucker, he fucks with chocolate milk heavy. And I think if I promise him some chocolate milk and I let him know that we got some Totino's pizza and some scissors,
Yeah.
he'll be ready.
Which reminds me, do you ever hear from our buddy Justin Zimmerman?
I do.
Z Flair?
Talk to him every day.
I never hear that much from him anymore.
he's hunkered down. He's got him a new lady who likes to fuck a lot. So he just spends all his time doing that.
Tough life he's having.
He's eating chicken sandwiches, lifting weights, spinning heavy plates on that biscuit belt. And I mean, I think she's a doctor and she's just getting it every which way. I don't know what's happening right now.
I don't know. But somebody just gave a baby a pile driver.
Here's what happened. Like, let me just say, have you seen Jay-Z recently?
I haven't seen him since we were in Charlotte.
You know, he's walking around in a stupid Bojangles jacket and suit and belt,
right?
Right.
I know he does that.
He's still doing all that.
Okay.
Just to catch you up on what everybody else in the group chat is doing.
Yeah.
You know about Pond Water Dave, right?
No.
Well, no, I'm saying, we named Super Dave Pond Water Dave here on the show.
Yeah. Let's listen to this promo first.
Sure.
Go ahead, Dave.
Kel, what kind of an explanation do you have for your actions out there? You left Tito Santana high and dry. You walked away from your tag team partner.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he just got what he deserved. I'm sick and tired of him. I'm sick and tired of carrying him around. I was doing great when since I've been coming to WWF as a single wrestler. But no, Mr. Tito wants to ride my coattail once more. But I'm sick and tired of him. I've been carrying him around for too long already.
Wait a minute, Rick Martel, you're out of line. Strike Force was supposed to be a team.
I don't want to be associated with that guy. He's a loser. You saw his timing was way off. You're lucky that I'm being a gentleman that I am. I just walked off. I could have been a lot worse for you, Tito Santana.
I think we've heard enough.
Tired. I'm
Let's
fed
go
up
back
with you.
to you, Gorilla.
Oh, Gene made that interview, guys.
Hey, Martel was doing his best, but Gene was the glue.
Yeah. So anyway, what were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Well, we're talking about how Super Dave became Pond Water Dave here on the program when we did those stupid commercials years ago and had fun. And anyway, he ran with that. But his new claim to fame, as you recall, is he was the guy who counted the last 3 count in Ric Flair's career. And so now he's turned that into 8x10s. He's doing meet and greets and signing autographs. I'm not making this up. Well, it's gone to his head a little bit, this newfound stardom and fame.
Yeah.
And as a result, he's starring in his own movie. And so we've got a trailer that I wanted to play for you here. The new Pond Water Dave movie. Here we go. Dave Silva, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Okay.
There it is.
It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better in life. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Nothing gets to you, staying fresh, staying cool. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Fresh goes better, Mentos fresh. Fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of life.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
So there you go. He's clearly looking for a sponsorship, much like Jay-Z with Bojangles. Pond Water Dave trying to lock down that Mentos spot. If you're not watching what we're doing here, you're missing out. It's WHW on YouTube.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Roddy Piper. Let's track it.
A man who needs no introduction. A man who hosts his very own talk show named after him. A man who, through thick and thin, has never backed down from anyone. A man who pulls no punches and does things his way.
North Carolina!
When you say Rowdy, there's only one. Ladies and gentlemen,
there's the bagpipes. Well, it's been a long time since we've seen the Rowdy one, Gorilla. I can't wait to get a look at him. Wait a minute. That's not Piper. That's Brother Lowe. What's he doing with a tilt-on?
So Tony, this of course is the first time that Piper has worked with Bruce Pritchard, and Bruce Pritchard in real life is a self-described Roddy Piper mark. His favorites of all time: Terry Funk, Dory Funk, Roddy Piper. And he patterned so much of his cadence and delivery style and mannerisms after Roddy Piper. And he just loved the idea that Piper's Pit used to be the show,
Of course.
in all of wrestling, not just WWF, but like it was an innovative segment. And now he had a Brother Love show, and he just thought it was super cool that he's going to get the opportunity to work with him here. And of course, Piper being Piper had to fuck with him a little bit. So they had some fun, but he's also told the story on his podcast that those damn dogs showed up backstage before the show. And I'm not talking about the British Bulldog's dog, Matilda. I'm talking about those drug sniffing dogs.
Oh my God.
Now, normally you would say, well, what would that matter? Well, marijuana was still illegal in 1989.
Still illegal, right?
I don't know if it's illegal in New Jersey.
I don't think it is. No, it's not. It's
Okay.
legal in New Jersey.
So my point is, it was not legal back then. And perhaps Brother Love loved the idea of having some after the show.
Oh.
And so when those dogs come sniffing around, Piper points out they won't be able to smell it up there. And there's a drop tile ceiling.
Okay.
Okay. So if you just throw your bag up there,
Yep.
the dogs won't smell it.
Right.
So Bruce doesn't hesitate. Away it goes. Dogs come in, do their thing. The dogs leave. We made it. Fuck, how do I get it down? So it was a process, but you can always count on Bruce. Where there's a will, there's a way. He managed to get it down and share a little bit with the rowdy one after the show.
That's tremendous.
So this is Brother Love interviewing himself. What do you think he's saying right now?
He's probably saying, I'm the one that started the podcast revolution. It wasn't Colt Cabana. It wasn't 411 Fuckstick. It was me. I started the revolution of the podcast. And then Tony Schiavone came in. And then they got Eric Bischoff. And then they got JR. And then they got Kurt Hennig. And now they got, who the fuck all do they have? Anybody that wants to have a podcast and wants to make any money about it will go see Conrad Thompson, because I did. And I've been up Conrad's ass ever since then. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Roddy Piper. Let's bring him in. Let's bring him in. Let's bring him in. I need a talk. I just blew myself up.
Yeah, you blew me up too. That was exhausting just watching. By the way, the watch he's wearing right there, as Brother Love, is the infamous Terry Taylor watch, and he still wears that every day.
The infamous Terry Taylor watch?
Yep.
Okay, I don't know that story.
It was Terry Taylor's watch, and then he sold it to Bruce. And well, there's some other details of the story I have to leave out because I don't know that everything is as it should have been. I'll tell you off air though. And look at there, Morton Downey Jr., your boy.
Wow, man. Terry Garvin to his left. Morton's got a cigarette in his mouth. This ought to be interesting.
How about the aisleway? How long is this aisle?
Oh my God.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, with Rene Goulet. So what's your step, monsieur?
You know what's crazy? Megan's mom, Leslie, fantastic lady. And Leslie, every now and again, will be spending time with our family. And then when everyone leaves the room and it's just she and I, she'll start peppering me with wrestling questions.
Really?
Doesn't talk about wrestling at all. It never comes up. But when everyone else leaves, she'll do one of these. Whatever happened to Greg Valentine? Is Rene Goulet still alive? What's Ken Patera up to? Did he ever get out of prison? I mean, just all these random And I just love that whenever she rattles off the different names, Renee Goulet is always one of them at the top.
Wow.
Because they used to live together, not together, but
Yeah.
In Minnesota, they were all in that same territory. So
The
they
same
would spend
circle.
time. So she got to know all the wives and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I just think that's super cool.
Well, you can tell the fans are standing up.
Because here's the real Rowdy Piper.
Mm-hmm.
Now they know it's really coming. It's not Bruce.
Well, you know, if you think about all the things they did, all the things that we've done during wrestling, all the segments, Piper's Pit is still the one, isn't it? All
Well, it
these
was
years
the
later.
first one. I feel like when people talk about factions, certainly they talk about DX and they talk about the Bullet Club, blah blah blah, and certainly the NWO in the more modern era. But they always go back to the Four Horsemen.
Yeah,
and I think just like that, with regards to these interview segments or whatever, we always go back to Piper's Pit.
Piper's Pit, yeah. Because Piper's Pit was the place where the biggest WrestleMania angle happened between Hogan and Andre. That's one of the reasons.
Well, and the coconut deal with Snuka.
Yeah, right. So this ought to be very interesting to relive this years and years later. You ready to track it?
Yeah, you want to?
Oh, absolutely, I do.
Okay.
I knew you would answer me. Pull his skirt off. Nice child-bearing hips, I would say, wouldn't you? Let me take a wee look at them knees. You got them Betty Davis knees there, son. Huh? You got that industrial disease there. Huh? So you're the one that was supposed to take my show, is that correct? What? I didn't want to know that bad. Tell me something. Have you ever heard of the Oprah Winfrey diet? But I didn't want to know that bad. You know, Brother Love, with them cute little knees like that, and your hair all breezed back, and that cute little flower there, and that tie, the only thing that bothers me is that your face is red, and I don't know if that's high blood pressure or if you're just scared to death of me. You can't scare me. What? Well, so far we know he's a liar. You know, Brother Love, I watched you one time. I had absolutely nothing to do and got tired of talking to the wino, so I turned you on.
Why do you want to track this? This is not good.
I don't know. I thought it would be
No, it is
better
not.
than that.
Hey, look who's making a run in there. It's Biggity Bug. Let's do some fan questions.
Okay.
Zol Lopez wants to know, if you were forced to call one Mania match, which would you choose? Hogan versus Rock from WrestleMania 18 or Flair versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 24?
I think Hogan Rock. To me, that had so much. I don't know. It was the fans who remember Hogan against the Rock fans as much as it was Hogan against Rock, wasn't it? I mean, the fans were like,
It was 50-50. It was awesome.
it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome.
Josh Henney says, do you have a preference on where you call the action, ringside or away from the ring? Thank you.
I like it away from the ring because I don't want to take a bump. And you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, God, they used to be, I don't know if we've talked about this and we've seen it on some of our shows, that when Vader would fall to the floor and we were ringside, we were scared for our lives.
Yeah.
because he was in a different world. He was in a different universe. He was not with us. It was just crazy. You never know what he was going to do. So I prefer being back there where it's seemingly safe.
Here's one from Andy Goldsmith. With all due respect to all involved, how did you feel when it was said you were quote unquote too Southern, only for them to hire Jim Ross a few years later?
I thought that was bullshit.
Bullshit that they hired JR. Fuck him.
No, not at all. I thought it was bullshit that they said I was too Southern and then they would hire Jim Ross, who was. So I thought the word that Tony was too Southern was bullshit. They were bullshitting me. They were full of shit.
Yeah, right. I agree. Tennessee Hutch wants to know, and this is fun, who would win in a foot race between Mr. Fuji and Brother Love in a Speedo?
It would be Brother Love in the Speedo by a long shot.
This one is from Visor Fire. What was the reaction to the performance of Run DMC? Not you personally, but the rest of the WWE folks.
I think they liked it. I do. I thought they thought it was cool.
Gilbert, sometimes Pat, wants to know if Vince told Tony to shave his mustache because Mean Gene already had one. Why didn't Tony grow it back after going to WCW? Did Lois say keep it off?
No. I can't. I don't know why it didn't grow it back. Because I like the fact that I got a beard now. Because it is so easy to shave. You just zip, and you're done. And not only that, the beard helps cut off the double or triple chin, or whatever. So no, Lois didn't have anything to do with that. I don't know why I kept it.
Tony, I'm going to tag out, and you're going to answer some questions live from our ad-free shows, folks.
You got to go pee-pee? Okay. Let's go to these questions. Let's see. Zoe wants to know, curious of what Tony thought of the new KC Airport this past week when he was in town. So, well, it was freaking, all of us talked about it. It was freaking incredible. It is a airport that was made for a major city. And I'm trying to think I wonder if the Kansas City Chiefs had something to do with that because of their success. Great airport. It really, really is. So there. Conrad, can you get Marty Jannetty to come to Top Guy Weekend for us? Coach Rosie wants to know. Conrad went pee-pee. I would think that would not be a good idea. Josh Fields 22 wants to know, how would Tony describe the backstage atmosphere on WrestleMania Day versus other pay-per-views? It was much bigger. Now, again, think about this. I had come from Jim Crockett Promotions, where backstage, a pay-per-view was just another show. Then I go and I do my WrestleManias, which are 5 and 6, and it was a much bigger atmosphere than I had ever experienced. And because of that, I remember it as a much bigger atmosphere than I do anything that I've done since then. I think it's only because of perception, what my perception was back then. So it may not have been as big, but it seemed bigger to me. We got another one here. Brian Haresmo. Who were some people Tony enjoyed interviewing when he first started with the WWF? I didn't do that many interviews, to be honest with you, but I did like doing Axe and Smash. They were pretty cool. I always thought it was pretty cool. I did a live interview with Miss Elizabeth that aired on I think a Challenge or Superstars, I'm not sure, live in the arena. I really enjoyed doing that. We rehearsed it, and she did a great job, so I would throw her in that. Nate Poole wants to know any go-to casino game that you play when you are in Atlantic City or Vegas. I really don't gamble anymore, but I used to play craps quite a bit. But now I've kind of forgotten how to play since it's been so long out of play. But craps was always a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun. Bobby wants to know who watched your kids when they were little and you were on the road. Lois did. She never traveled with us. Let's see. Michael wants to know, who would you like to see as the villain in the next Reeves Batman movie? Rumors are that it might be Mr. Freeze. I'd love to see the Mad Hatter. You go back and you watch the old Batman TV show, the Mad Hatter was kind of over the top with that top hat with the eyes that came out and zapped people and hypnotized them. I would just love that. Let's see. Got any more? Eddie wants to know, how good was Dino Bravo in his time in the NWA? Well, Eddie, I thought he was great because I was younger and I watched him as a fan. And we're talking about the 70s. I thought he was great. Was he really great? I don't know. But in my mind, he was. Because what they had Dino Bravo and Mr. Wrestling, Tim Woods, beat the Andersons on television to become NWA World Tag Team Champions. And back in the 70s, that was unheard of, that they would switch a title or even have a match like that on TV. So that sticks with you as a kid, you know. You're in high school and it sticks with you. So, yeah. How good was he? He was okay. Darren wants to know, did I ever shower with Mr. Perfect? Not that I recall. I'm thinking now. Roger Fowler, you mentioned before calling Hogan Boss Man in Boston in the afternoon, MSG the same night. It was flipped. It was MSG in the afternoon, Boston night. But anyway, just curious how you felt seeing Ray go from an enhancement talent JCP to Hogan. Thought it was tremendous. I was so happy for Ray because he was such a good guy. And just was happy to see him really get a good push. Damn, that was a long pee. Did you poo-poo too?
I gave it a good push.
All right. Rajiv. Hey, Rajiv. Wants to know, do you wish you could have done commentary for a whole WrestleMania? Yeah, I would have loved to. I would have loved to have been able to work with Jesse for 3 hours.
You think you were good enough to do that?
Yeah. I don't know if I was good enough, but I think yeah. Oh, okay. I think I would. I think I would have hung in for 4 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you would, could you take Bug on the road with you? No. Because number one, I wouldn't leave him in the hotel room by himself. And number two, I wouldn't bring him backstage with all the pyro and all the fireworks. It would scare him, be too much for him. So I leave him at home. Leave him at home. He's a good boy.
Oh, wow. Keith Morrison wants to see if we can do a tape measure at Top Guy Weekend. No, we cannot, Keith. We will get in trouble.
Oh, come on. You can do it.
All right, great. We're going to have you do a run-in fresh off of Forbidden Door and just pull that hog right out. Just walk in, bam, flop it out.
Walk in, bam, flop it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what Flair used to do, right?
I don't know if he used to walk in, bam, flop it out. He used to flop it out and then walk in.
Oh, there you go. Man, that Piper segment is just now over.
Isn't that
A
something?
long-ass segment, dude.
God almighty, yeah.
I can think of a few things we should cut off of the release. Piper's Pit, Run DMC, Dino Bravo, Hercules. The replay of a fire extinguisher.
Willing to be pushed. Fire extinguisher.
By the way, how good of a sport was Morton Downey Jr. to get fire extinguisher?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Put it up the asshole.
Yeah. I don't think he knew all that was coming.
Oh, he knew some of that was coming. Piper clearly took it too far.
Yeah. Wow.
Finally, we're back to wrestling. Can you believe it?
Joining Donald J. Trump, the illustrious Donald Trump. And
all right.
Mr. Trump, this is the second WrestleMania you have hosted in a row. Can you give us some idea what an event of this magnitude means not only to Atlantic City, but to the Trump organization?
Well, it's brought people from thousands of miles away. It's been fantastic. It's been unbelievable. The traffic, the numbers of people. We're really honored to be here and honored that you folks joined us. It's a great honor.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I want to ask you this, though. Have the casinos been busy?
They are packed. The whole town is packed. It's been a real boom to the town. It's been just a great thing and an unbelievable event. Everybody's excited. We're all enjoying ourselves.
Well,
and thank you.
I know I'm going to leave a few dollars in Atlantic City.
Well, I hope so.
Well, thanks again for joining us. While the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan still have to worry about winning, it appears that Donald J. Trump already has. Now, there are winners here as well. This capacity crowd thus far has gotten more than their money's worth. Right now, let's go back to you, Gorilla.
Our man Sean Mooney was nervous as shit there.
Oh, you could tell he was.
Yeah. Why was he so nervous with Donald, do you think? This is before he's, what is his name?
Well, no, he was a big name back then.
No. But I'm saying he wasn't the president. He wasn't this controversial figure. Like,
right.
Whatever. Oh, look at this. Jesse Ventura cutting a promo with no holds barred.
And when you lose to him, you're going to have no job, Hulk Hogan. So you're going to have to come out to Hollywood, try to invade my territory. It ain't big enough for the both of us, Hogan. But if you want to come out, I'll give Hogan a job in Hollywood. He can drive my limo.
Really bent out of shape, Jesse the Body Ventura, talking about people infringing on his territory. Merely the Hulkster's just gone out and made a movie. The name of it, No Holds Barred. Boy, we've seen plenty of action so far here in WrestleMania 5. Of course, Demolition retaining their World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship belts and did it in a really good fashion, putting away Mr. Fuji. You're having second thoughts? It was very unprofessional of you, Jess, to just storm out of here like that.
I'm a professional, Monsoon. They're paying me big money to be here. I'll earn it, and don't you give me no hard time. I've had enough for now.
Well, perhaps the Body's going to stay with us. Perhaps he's not. Right now, let's take a look at how the Mega Powers began right here in Atlantic City, WrestleMania 4. The Hulkster helped them.
Bruce and I have broken this feud down several times. Do you think this might be the best storyline in WWF history?
Yeah, it was a good one. I also liked the stealing of the world title and selling it to.
That was right before what we're watching right here. So that's kind of all part of it, because that stealing of the world title allowed a tournament to be created where Savage won. So we would say, go ahead.
Then yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah. Jesse Ventura reluctantly counting 3 there for Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan to beat Andre and the $1 Million Man. And then here comes Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And we saw Hogan pick her up and celebrate. And now we're on to Survivor Series. Of course, this is the very first one. Or I guess this is the second one. This is the one that isn't the one that sabotaged Starrcade. It's the following or the prior year, but still.
Yeah.
You hear Biggity Bug running around. He loves Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah, boy, he doesn't like.
Actually, that's Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby's going
Kirby's
crazy.
putting on the show right now.
Yeah, and she's trying to play the Bug, and he's an old fucker. He doesn't want to.
He don't want to do that.
No.
So this is January of this year,
right?
And this is, of course, where Macho Man's going to come out and clear house because Miss Elizabeth was in danger when she was out here on behalf of Hulk Hogan. Yeah. And then here we are on Superstars. Boss Man attacking when it's supposed to be Savage and Akeem. Hogan's going to return the favor and make the save.
I've got a Royal Rumble going on here.
I hear it.
God. Come here, Bug. Get away from that girl.
Look what you've done to Bug. Bug had a good life, and then you brought Kirby around.
Look, he's snapping at her, man. fuck away from me. You better get away from him. She wants
So
to play.
is that Hogan down below, and that's Savage up top right there?
That's right. No, I think it's Hogan up top. He ain't doing no jobs. I enjoyed it. I really did. And I'm sure there are many of you out there that were like Dave Meltzer. They hated everything he did, but God.
No, that's not true. Nobody listening to this hated everything he did.
Okay.
They were our age.
Okay.
You know?
It was good, man. It was good stuff.
Look at this guy.
Man, Big John Studd going to be a referee. Watch your step, Big John.
I like the way they shot the big guys. They would always shoot them from below.
Yes.
Make them seem even bigger.
Yeah.
He was focused on those steps. He did not want to.
Well, of course he did. He had a great career, didn't he? I mean, I remember him Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling.
It's crazy that one day he just seemingly decided, okay, that's enough.
Yeah. There's Rene Goulet. Yeah, and I heard, and I never did know him, but I heard he was really backstage one of the nicest guys ever. I had heard that from a lot of people.
You didn't spend any time with him?
No, I never met him that I remember.
You're on this show.
Yeah, but I still didn't meet him. There's a lot of people back there backstage I never met.
You never went and introduced yourself? You were uppity?
I told you about me and Andre, didn't I? About Cowboy Ron Bass.
Tell us again.
My first TV, I think it was Binghamton, New York. We had Binghamton Superstars and Hershey, Pennsylvania for the for Challenge, and I went backstage and I was really intimidated. I really was, and I didn't say much. And Cowboy Ron Bass said, "Do me a favor." I said, "What?" He said, "Go introduce yourself to Andre. It's very, very important that you do that for many reasons." I said, "Okay," and I did. And I remember he reached out to me anyway, Andre, when I shook his hand. That was about it. That's all
There he is, Andre the Giant, coming down to the ring with Bobby the Brain Heated. Man, what an iconic time this was for the company. You know, just take a look at the cast of characters we've seen so far. You know, the Bushwhackers, the $1 Million Man, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Mr. Perfect, the Blue Blazer, Andre the Giant. I mean, there's just so many over-the-top classic. This era of the WWF, it's just, it really is the golden era.
Well, of course it is. Great characters, great storylines, big houses, Saturday night's main event on a network, just memorable stuff. And
listen to this.
Weighing 249 pounds, Jake the Snake Roberts.
The look, the walk, the music, Finkel's voice, the shot up right there, just everything about this. And man, I think you know by now, I've fallen in love with Jim Crockett Promotions all over again. Like, I wasn't, you know, I this is what I grew up on. I just recently sort of rediscovered JCP, and I love it so much. But this just feels bigger.
it was bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, this era is what made wrestling mainstream.
Yes.
Because kids like you who grew up watching this wrestling mainstream, and of course there's a lot who watch JCP too, I get that, but went on to have jobs and the wrestling fandom continued. Look, things like this is why wrestling is covered on ESPN and Sports Illustrated now. Used to never be like that. There was never a section on ESPN.com for wrestling or on Sports Illustrated for wrestling. And it's what made it mainstream, and it continues today. Love Jake the Snake, man. Just getting to work with him has been so much fun. He's appreciative of his life right now and how hard he worked to get where he is, and just good stuff, man. He had a tough
It is
time.
a great story, and you want to talk about classic, iconic 80s WWF characters. Andre the Giant and Jake the Snake got to be right at the top of the list, man. Let's do some other questions. I got these before we went live today. Winners wants to know, what was his first impression after joining the WWF? How excited was Tony with being involved with WrestleMania 5?
I thought I had arrived.
Yeah.
I really thought I had arrived, and there was no question in my mind, right here, right now, that I was going to be with the WWE the rest of my career, because it was big. I was a producer. We had edit suites. We had an organization. I had worked with people in the office who were just great people to work with, and I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my work. And also during this time, this was, let's see, what was the date of WrestleMania? April something or another. First part of April. I don't think Lois and the kids had arrived yet.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they're not even there yet.
Right. Because I was there for a couple of months before they ever arrived, and just lived at one of the hotels. And so I really thought this was it, man. I was so happy to be there. Odd, huh?
No, not odd.
No, it's odd that I really thought I was going to be there the rest of my career, and I didn't. Just
Hey,
shows
you
you
know,
how life changes, and you don't realize it. So
I hate to get sideways here, but I got to ask a question, because I had the good fortune of recording 83 weeks, which dropped a few days ago here, as everybody can listen to now. And we did a Ask Eric Anything. And one of the questions we got was about you. And it was, hey, do you think Tony Schiavone deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame? And if given the opportunity, would he accept? And Eric said he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why he's not already. And yes, I would hope he would accept. Why wouldn't he? And then I said, well, Eric, he said on our show a few times that he wouldn't accept. And I've tried to say, hey, man, it's not just about what you want to do. It would be cool for your kids. It's cool for the whole family. Say, Dad's a Hall of Famer. And Eric goes, it's even more than that. It's for the fans. The fans are the reason that we're here and doing all this. Tony, I would want to talk to Tony and have him reconsider and say it's a way to acknowledge the fans, because the fans want you in.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I never really thought about that, but he's exactly right. We want you in the Hall of Fame. I know it's not going to happen this year, and I know it's not something you hope happen or wants to have happen or anything like that. But Eric and I would like for you to reconsider.
Okay. Hey, this is a pretty good spot here. Do you see the fans when Andre got tied up in the ropes?
They all popped. Everybody stood up.
Because they know they want the snake to come out of the bag.
It's a great equalizer here.
Yeah.
How could you beat a giant? Well, if the giant can't stand or use his arms, you got a chance. And he wanted, the story, of course, is Andre is afraid of snakes.
Sure.
And so here's your chance. Take advantage of that. Of course, these days the ropes could never tie up like that, because how else could Vikingo do a 930 double senton quarter back screw corkscrew over the top plancha fuck your mom on the Enziguri Jones?
Right.
By the way, we were putting over the Ring of Honor pay-per-view a little earlier. If you're on the fence about ordering it, order it. You're going to see something that you've never seen before. Vikingo versus Commander. Commander is an unbelievable talent, a very young man, going to be a huge star. He runs the top rope like you've never seen before. He did it on our pre-show at Ric Flair's last match. Wish the ropes would have been a little tighter. They were a little Andre-esque for him. But he and Vikingo are going to put on a show for the AAA Mega Championship you've never seen before. Go out of your way to see it. The rest of the card is going to be loaded for bear. Of course, Samoa Joe and Mr. Briscoe in the main event for the world title. What a great story. What a great cast of characters Ring of Honor has cranked out. And the idea that Mark is here challenging for the title that his brother once carried against another Ring of Honor legend and the current champ. That's going to be fantastic, dude.
Yeah, and they got the ladder match to honor Jay Briscoe.
Absolutely.
To crown new Ring of Honor.
Reach for the sky, boys.
Yeah, man. Mark Briscoe's a lot of fun. Well, Mark and Jay were a lot of fun together to get to know them, and Mark's been a whole lot of fun. He's so funny. if you've never seen, I know we've talked about this, if you've never seen him try to sell his teeth on eBay, you need to watch that. It's on there on YouTube.
Everything Mark Briscoe does is fun. Cassio Kid's favorite wrestler. He saw him a few years ago doing the weather for Baltimore. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Go out of your way to see it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I just love everything he does, and just think the world of him and his family. And if you can get through it, I really encourage you, if you are a Briscoes fan or a Ring of Honor fan, go watch the eulogy that Mark gave his brother Jay. It was something special, man.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not what you think. It's a eulogy unlike one you've ever heard. And it is amazing.
Yeah.
And what a great tribute to his great brother.
What a horrible, horrible tragedy.
One of the worst in modern, this whole wrestling era or wrestling community that we've got in this era has experienced a handful of tragedies, like Brody Lee.
Right.
And now Jay Briscoe. Like, man, and then just real recently, even much closer to home for you and I, Arn Anderson's son Barrett. My goodness.
Yeah, just terrible stuff. Arn and Brock came to our taping in Orlando this past weekend.
How was it?
They did great. They got a very good, very, very good standing ovation that they deserved. It was their first time back, and it's tough. It's tough for Arn Anderson. It still is, but he's a pro. He's going to do his work.
Well, I recorded Rick's podcast last week with him, and he was really excited to tell me before we recorded that he had been in touch with Arn, and the idea that those two former old best friends are talking again and on a friendly basis again. And
it's good news.
It's great news.
Yeah.
And it's awful news to think that as folks are listening to this, it was just the 10-year anniversary of when we lost Reed.
Gosh.
He passed away on March 29th, 2013.
My goodness.
And 10 years later, Arn would lose his oldest son. It's just awful, man.
Yeah.
Something that you would hope nobody ever has in common.
Right. I mentioned Ashley was there, and Ashley and Barrett grew up together. We're very close. And
Yeah, Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte Flair, as people know. Well, no snake, I guess, this time, right? Because the $1 Million Man has come in and stolen the snake. You can't even use a snake now.
Oh, really?
No, you can't.
All the penis stuff and all that.
Yeah, right.
I gotcha. Well, here's what you could probably do. You could cover them in some crabs from Jimmy's. Don't you think that'd be fun?
I don't know why that got me. Oh, I guess we are going to have a snake because he went and got it. Oh, my God. Holy shit.
And Andre's like, nope, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and Ian in the same way.
He might fuck with chocolate milk heavy, but he don't fuck with snakes at all.
Oh, God.
Dude, we got to do that. Why don't we have a wrestler after he wins, like the $1 Million Man used to put a $100 bill in their mouth and Jake the Snake would dump the snake on them. Yeah. Why don't we have a guy just throw a whole bucket of crabs on an opponent, and then you could be on commentary. He gave that bitch crabs. That motherfucker's got crabs. He's eat up with it.
Oh, you know what? That would be a line that I could probably get away with.
Yes. Well, let's do it. Listen, we got to have somebody on Dark stand out and get a gimmick. Like if they used to bring bulldogs and parrots and Komodo dragons and snakes to the ring, somebody can bring a bucket of crabs. It'll look like the Godwin slop bucket, but it'll be a crab bucket. Got to keep Sonny away from that. She's probably already got enough.
Oh, God.
Well, Tony, I think we should take a time out right now. We're going to stop it down at 229.45 is where we'll hit it. There it is. Don't sleep on my crab gimmick. Matter of fact, sleep on a sleep me, or as I do. The former home of Chili Sleep. New name, same great sleep, but now even better. Stay tuned. Sleep Me makes the cold sleep systems available. It's changed my life. Can't overstate this. I used to sleep 5 or 6 hours a night. I'd be up and down, get up a few times and fight with the covers. And not anymore. Now I fall asleep and I stay asleep and I wake up feeling refreshed and rejuvenated and with memories of vivid, bright, colorful dreams. I say all this to you because I'm colorblind, but I dream in color. And I didn't dream at all before. I wasn't getting the right quality sleep. I wasn't getting deep REM sleep. But man, I'm telling you, this really works. I climb into a cold bed. I wake up in a cold bed and I feel better than ever. I want you to try it. It's water-based. It's a temperature-controlled mattress pad. It fits over your existing mattress. Think of it as like a smart thermostat for your bed. It's been a game changer in my life. I travel with one. I'm not making this up. I have one in my house right now. Keeps my wife's side of the bed a little warmer than mine. You can do this, 2 zones in the same bed. But then when we travel, I make sure that I have a separate unit that I just keep ready to go. And I'm going to sleep cold every night. I sleep better. I feel better. You will too. And they've got something brand new I want to tell you about. It's called the Doc Pro Sleep System. But now it's got new Hyper AI. It's the ultimate cooling power. But now you can pair it with the brand new Sleep Me app and get real-time temperature adjustments based on your current sleep activity from the new Hyper AI tech. It's the industry's first ever sleep tech that will track and optimize your sleep and get you the right temperature in real time. You're going to get the best sleep of your life with AI-driven technology. And Tony, I think we got a special offer right now.
Head over to sleep.me. Again, head over to sleep.me/WHW to learn more and save 25% off the purchase of any new Doc Pro, Uller, or Cube sleep system. The offer is available exclusively for What Happened When listeners and only for a limited time. That's sleep, sleep.me/WHW to take advantage of our exclusive discounts and wake up refreshed every day.
There it is. And Tony, let's get back to WrestleMania 5 here. 2 hours.
I think 29 Bob Uecker here, aren't we?
45 seconds. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play.
I witnessed this wild melee between Andre the Giant and Jake the Snake Roberts up here in the Bob Uecker seats. And what'd you think of this matchup here?
Jake,
what'd you think of this
Jake?
matchup?
He's the best. Jake's the best. Jake's the best.
Yeah, I guess he's going to say it all. As you can see, not a bad seat in the house. Back to you, Gorilla.
You got to have some binoculars from up there. We're going to go to another one of our colleagues in a few moments here as we go to Tony Schiavone, who's in the locker room with a former women's champion, Sensational Sherry.
Okay, my guest at this time, Sensational Sherry.
You have got that right. Sensational, unlike some other woman we saw singing America the Beautiful earlier today. World champion Rockin' Robin, let's face it, she can't sing any better than she can wrestle. And as soon as I'm ready, I'll take the title back from you, Robin. There's one other lady I'd like to talk about today, Miss Elizabeth. They say she's beautiful. Look at this. This is too hot and vicious. Isn't it a shame, Miss Elizabeth, that your mega powers are going to explode today?
Boy, talk about devious people. She's one of them.
Tag team contest is scheduled for one fall. Approaching the ring with their manager, the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, at a total combined weight of 496 pounds. Here are Greg the Hammer Valentine and the Honky Tonk Man.
So listen, Sherry is an important piece of the story here.
Yeah.
Because we know Miss Elizabeth is in the middle of all this, but we know that Savage is clearly a bad guy. Right now, he feels justified. Maybe some of the adult men at home would be like, yeah, I don't know. I agree with Savage. On the other side of this, he is going to be a firmly cemented super mega heel. So he can't have this demure, lovely, we all love and care about her Miss Elizabeth anymore. So we're going to put him with the evil Sherry. Of course, she was originally supposed to wrestle on this match against Rockin' Robin. Instead, they had Robin sing, maybe that was regrettable. And now we got Sherry with the backstage interview, just sort of setting the stage. That's it's a cool little start to a part 2 or a new chapter.
Yeah, but the Sherry interview was not good. You could tell she was very, very nervous.
Yes.
And the guy holding the microphone was very nervous as well.
Sherry's always been better to me as a second.
Yeah.
Like when she's out there with Savage and he's hooting and hollering and she's playing off of him, or when Flair would do the same and she's playing off of him, like she is the perfect, think of it like as a morning show. Sometimes there's a guy who drives the show and then there's a guy who just sort of, tags in and out. That guy who's tagging in and out, he's usually going to be the funniest, best part, but you got to have somebody play the sort of straight man. I think she was always great in that secondary role because she was a perfect complement to either of those guys.
Sherry was a great performer.
Yeah.
She was more physical than any valet ever. And as a wrestler, she was great. She did some great stuff. It's back in the archives. Some great stuff with Colonel Robert Parker. And that was a funny story. It wasn't as big as this, but it was a very entertaining storyline. So, we were talking about tragedies. She's a tragedy. She went long before she should have. She died at a very early age, right?
Right.
I don't know. I guess we can look it up how old Sherry was when she passed away.
In her 40s.
Wow. Yeah.
The Hart Foundation here, taking on Rhythm and Blues, Honky Tonk Man, and Greg the Hammer Valentine. Of course, by WrestleMania 6, Greg's going to have that jet black hair. They'll be officially Rhythm and Blues. Maybe a little silly, but hey, that's what they were doing. And of course, we know by then, Bret Hart will be making strides towards his singles career. Of course, it's not until WrestleMania 8, I guess, that we see him in singles action. But the Hart Foundation here, arguably one of the best tag teams. And it's crazy, too. You take a look at how deep this WWF tag team roster was in this era. I mean, by this point, the Bulldogs are gone, but the Bulldogs, Demolition, the Rockers, the Hart Foundation. And now let's talk about what's on the other channel. Back then, I guess, a year ago. Arn and Tully, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, Road Warriors. Some incredible tag teams, dude.
Absolutely. Incredible talent on the roster.
Yes.
Just Hall of Famers everywhere, man. And real Hall of Famers, by the way.
Yeah.
Boom. The Hammer. For a guy who didn't really have much personality, he had a great career, didn't he?
Yes.
I mean, look, I can tell you that as a fan, Greg Valentine and Ric Flair were a phenomenal tag team. And Greg Valentine against Wahoo McDaniel
Yes.
was a hell of a feud back in the Mid-Atlantic days. And it drew a lot of people. It just, without the Hammer being much of a personality. There was, I'm trying to get this right, but Johnny Valentine, who was in that plane crash with Ric Flair and David Crockett, and of course was injured and never was able to wrestle or walk again, really. The story was that Greg Valentine was his son at first. And then they did a thing on TV, I remember, where a wrestler came out and said, everybody thinks he's his son. He's actually the brother of Johnny Valentine. Or maybe it was the other way around. But I remember they made a little angle about that he had been lying about who he really was to Johnny Valentine. And I can't remember how it went, but I know that was a little angle that they had on Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. I don't know. But
show
Johnny
us with your tape measure where you think how Greg measures up. If you had to guess.
If I had to guess?
Yeah. That's pretty solid right there.
Yeah, that's 8 1/4 inches right there.
Wow. Yeah. How many hands can you get around that?
It depends on how big your hand is. Andre.
Well, you have two hands right there. Why don't you just set that down on the desk?
Okay. Okay.
And then just wrap your hands around it, and let's see how many we can stack up. No, wait, Tony, like this. One, like you're giving each other dabs, right? So
I think that for me to do something like that would be inappropriate. I don't want to do that.
no, I'm saying you can do it off camera. Is that 2.5 hands for you? I mean, is that 3 hands for you?
Well, if you had 3 hands, maybe 3, but you don't have 3 hands.
But you can stack them. You see?
No, you can't. You only have 2.
Yeah, but you know where the one is. The next one.
You'd have to borrow somebody else's hand. Like, Conrad, jump on in here and give me a hand.
Well, listen, I'll be honest. There have been times where there have been 3 hands readily available. On multiple occasions, there were 4.
And then, of course, you turn around and ate your pizza with the scissors. Or cut your pizza with scissors.
I fucked some chocolate milk. Heavy. Welcome. I asked us a question here. It was during this period that Tony's accent changed. Did Tony ever consider adapting a completely different accent, such as a posh British accent or a thick Canadian accent? Would he consider calling a match in AEW with a different accent?
No. I don't think that my accent changed from what? From the South? It did not change. My accent changed when I started doing baseball, and when I started announcing, because I worked on my accent, worked very long and hard on it in the studios at WTON in Stanton, Virginia. And I got my voice, and I overcompensated for my southern drawl with, but my accent really didn't change. I think that my voice has changed. My voice obviously has changed with age, but I think my announcing voice was over the top during this era. And we call it in the business being a yucker.
Right.
I think I was a yucker. And then when WCW started, I kind of smoothed that out a little bit. But back then it was, thanks a lot, Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura. Tony Schiavone, yeah, just, I was yucking it up. And man, you hear a lot of yuckers these days, and it makes me laugh. Especially those guys who are from Syracuse, went to the school in Syracuse. A lot of those guys are yuckers. Just a phony voice. But I use my phony voice to get rid of my southern drawl. But I still stay restaurant.
Of course. Can't help that. I mean,
in February.
All you can do, you can only do so much when you're from Craigsville, West Virginia.
Which most people, I told you.
I've spoken into existence. It's on your goddamn Wikipedia.
Isn't it something? I just let it sit there. It's like, I'm not going to change it because somebody else will change it back. Just let it say.
I'll tell you this. If you ever hit Honky Tonk Man in the shoulder with a megaphone, he'll lay down flat of his back. Some stuff about wrestling makes no sense, and I love it.
Oh, God.
They did everything too impossible, but they had a piece of plastic into his shoulder, laid flat down. I'm unconscious. Wow, you hit my shoulder with that plastic. Heart Foundation get the win. That was match number 712 here at WrestleMania 5. Should just be 13, 14 more matches, and then we're wrapping this one right up.
Yeah, we got less than an hour to go. You know, you and I talked about before we started, should we just cut off some of the matches? But no,
Hey,
friends,
we're doing the whole thing. Here we go.
We're doing the whole thing. Friends talking about wrestling. That's what we're about.
Tennessee Hutch wants to know, how would you rank your chemistry with Jesse versus others you've worked with in your career?
Well, I always like to think that my chemistry was pretty good with everyone because I liked working with everyone, but I thought my chemistry with Jesse was probably as good as anybody's, as anyone I've ever worked with.
Now we're getting the build here on the show for Ultimate Warrior and Ravishing Recruit, and we're seeing the pose down from the 89 Royal Rumble. Of course, that's going to lead us here to Intercontinental title match. That's going to see something happen a lot of people maybe didn't see at the time. Let's do a question here from Not the WrestleMania Cody. He wants to know, Tony was up close to her. How Roll Tide was Sensational Sherry?
She was okay.
Oh,
she
wow.
she wasn't a beauty like Elizabeth, obviously, but she had a very nice body, and of course, being a wrestler, she worked out and toned up her body, but she wasn't beautiful. So I would say she's okay.
Here's one from Tennessee Hutch. How instrumental was the dick lock by Luke on Raymond Rougeau in the outcome of the match? Now that you've seen it again, it's the highlight, was it not?
Yeah, but I missed it. It was the highlight. Yeah, it's been the highlight of the whole show.
Instagram Wrestling Historian says, "What was your WrestleMania experience like? Thanks in advance."
It was wonderful. Yeah, it was wonderful.
What do you like? I'm not saying this to be funny. This is a different era. And I know when I say this, it sounds sarcastic, but I just want to take everybody back. In 1989, most people didn't have cell phones.
Right.
And if you did, it was a bag phone or a brick phone, and it was like $1,000 a minute. And most people also didn't have beepers here in 1989. So when you got a hold of somebody, it was when you went back to your hotel room and you called long distance and paid through the nose and talked very fast on a home phone that your wife probably had a phone cord hung up in the kitchen that was 30 yards long
on the wall. Yep.
And she could just walk around and talk to you, but with a corded long ass curly. So this is a different era is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
You can't text anybody. You can't FaceTime them. You can't email them. It's a different thing.
Wow.
So you're here in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Your family is back home in Charlotte. And you just had this big career moment, maybe one of the biggest shows of your entire life. Like at this point, you had been a part of Starrcade and you had been a part of these Great American Bashes and these live Clash of the Champions specials and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this is WrestleMania. And this is the biggest, even if fans weren't talking about it, people in the business were talking about it. The biggest pay-per-view of all time, the biggest gate of all time, the highest grossing wrestling event in history. This is the new high watermark, and you were a part of it.
Yeah.
So after the show, do you go to the bar out with the boys in the hotel? Do you go gamble? Do you go to dinner, or do you go straight to your hotel room and call Lois and say, "You're not going to believe this"?
I stop at the bar. I don't stay long because I'm not one of the guys that closes the bar. There are a lot of guys that do that.
I'm one of those.
I go back to the hotel. I call Lois and I see how everybody's doing. And I use one of those AT&T calling cards because it's cheaper. You call an 800 number or whatever. But I don't talk about WrestleMania because Lois does not like wrestling, and she wouldn't even understand it if I told her how big this was. It would be lost on her. To her, it was just Tony being on the road at another show. That's all.
Right.
So no, I didn't talk about it. I just more was concerned about how the kids were doing, how she was doing.
Did you have any quote unquote wrestling friends? Like my wrestling friends would include like Clint from Hershey. So like when I talk to Clint, we usually talk about wrestling stuff. We don't talk about real life stuff. Like at this point in your career, did you have any quote unquote wrestling friends?
None.
Did you have any folks that you used to work with JCP that you were still friendly with and in touch with? And you I just worked at WrestleMania. You always wanted to know how it was like here. Well, this was my experience. Do you have anybody to share that sort of stuff with?
No, because I'm good or bad at this. I don't know what your perception of it is, but I'm the type of person that once I move on, I leave everything behind. I have some contact, but I have very little contact with anybody with the exception of my son. Yeah, with the Georgia Bulldog broadcast crew. I have no communication with the people with the Gwinnett Braves that I work with for all these years. I move forward and I leave things behind. That's what happened to me in 2001. Now, when 2001 happened and I didn't get a job with the WWE that I really, really wanted and I really tried to get and they would not have me, once I realized that, wrestling was gone out of my life, completely gone out of my life. Didn't talk about it, didn't communicate with anybody that I worked with in WCW back then, nothing. So I had no wrestling friends back then that I communicate with. My wrestling friends were the ones back in Craigsville, Virginia, that I grew up with, that we went to shows with, but I never did stay in touch with them. I'm very much a move forward guy. I can tell you when this podcast comes to an end, whenever that'll happen, when we finally say, okay, that's enough, you'll never hear from me again. And that's a part of my character or my personality. I'm very good at going, gone, move forward. I'm not a good friend. I've said that many times.
No, it's well established.
Yeah, I wish I was a better friend.
We all do.
Yeah, I do. I wish I was a friend that would call up just sometimes to say, Conrad, how you doing? But I don't do that, do I?
No, even when I just text you fun stuff, no response, no reply.
Yeah. I'm
a nuisance. I shouldn't even bother you.
No, you're not a nuisance. I'm just not that way. I wish I was. Keith Mitchell and I talked about that. Keith said, you know what? I'm the same way. He said, once I'm gone, I'm gone. And Keith is retired now as our executive producer. And I hear about Keith by talking to his son, Matt. I never hear from Keith. I'll go to Matt and say, how's Keith doing? He says, oh, great. They're skiing or they're out on the RV doing something, he and his wife, which is wonderful. But Keith and I talked about that. Keith was the same way. He just kind of
moves on.
Like Rajiv just said, no reply Jones.
No reply Jones.
That's me. So sorry. I had no friends. Listen, I had two things going on in my life, work and my family. That's all I had. And, you know, I don't know. I consider you a friend and Cassio and Dave and all the guys a friend, as close as a friend could be. I got my dogs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to be hanging out with your wife on her birthday.
Well, good for you.
Just let her know me and Cassio are going to be stopping by and dropping dick off in the morning.
Dropping what off in the morning?
Dick.
Oh, good.
Spotted dick.
Spotted
it's
dick.
a delicacy. Hey, we got a fun question here from Michael, Double M. Does Tony have any mega powers besides farting out of his butthole? Double M, I'm gonna need you to ask questions every week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to phrase them just like that. I feel like if I knew you in real life, me and you and Baby Nuts would be hanging out all the time.
One of my superpowers is to be able to fall asleep while watching a TV show.
Yeah,
I'm really good at that.
And you're really good at not going to your friends' weddings. Amazing at that. Never seen anybody as good at it.
I really am. I'm trying to think of how many other friends I've had that have been married. Oh, I'm sure a bunch.
Yeah. Let's do some other questions here because Lord, it'll help us from watching this Ultimate Warrior match, which by the way isn't bad because Rick Rude's doing his best, and we know Rick Rude's gonna ultimately win the Intercontinental Championship here. Killer pile driver there.
Okay.
Rude had a great one. This one comes to us from Bobby. Bobby wants to know, Tony, in the mid 80s, did you ever think that the internet would have such an impact on wrestling? No, he didn't know what the fucking internet was. So let me fast forward to the mid 90s.
Okay.
Let's say 94, 95, the infancy of the internet. Could you have ever predicted what it was going to do?
I couldn't have predicted how big it would be, but I remember talking to Bischoff about it, and I remember thinking, we were talking about Dave Meltzer and the Observer, and I remember thinking that, this was, I don't know, sometime in the mid-90s, and I said, you know, Eric, not many people read the Observer, and I think if we think about it and we listen to what they say, that we're only placating to a small amount of people. And he said, yeah, but that's changing with the internet. More people are going to understand, or more people are going to read the Observer, and more people are going to listen to it, and therefore it's going to be a bigger part of wrestling. He knew that.
Yes.
I remember that discussion. So I didn't realize it, but he did. And that's probably why he was good at running a company, and I would not have been.
Well, let's not say that. I mean, you're running a company these days. Zoel Lopez wants to know, playing any video games lately?
Well, Zoel, I'm glad you asked that. I have been playing SimCity on the phone. I played a couple of hours of Halo Infinite the other day. I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy. And that's about it. Some of those video games you spend like $70 for just are like, why did I throw that away? So if anybody has an idea of a video game I should be playing, then let me know. I know God of War is a big one. Don't ask me to play Grand Theft Auto. I've tried that, and I cannot control the cars at all. I just wreck the cars all the time. So,
much like you do the rental cars on Tony.
Oh, Ooh, throw that softball at Conrad.
Bryant wants to know, were Hogan's promos better here in the WWF or when he went Hollywood in WCW?
They were both very good, but I'm going to go with the old WWF ones. And I don't know. That's just what I remember when I remember Hogan.
Did you see Warrior just fall through the ropes? He gave him a knee breaker or a back breaker over his knee and then tried to stand up with him, and then they both just fell into the ropes. Lost their balance.
He was great, wasn't he?
No. Coach Rosie says, what's the tape measure for Colonel Parker?
Oh, my God. Okay,
Coach Rosie, here's the thing. It ain't a tape measure. It's a yardstick.
Yeah, there. Here you go, Coach. You get the drift even without the video.
Coach Rosie is obsessed. He's on a hog mission today. He wants to know what's more important, length or girth?
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
What an answer. I wouldn't know is a new shirt available now at lowestrules.com. Bryant wants to know, how about you use the old TNT logo, except now make it TMT with Tony measures talent under each letter. Tell you what, you just got a free shirt, Bryant. Silva's going to make that shit this week, and we're going to send you one. Great call.
Yeah, Brian, I do think we have your address. I'll ship it over to Dave, or maybe Dave knows how to get it off the.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We know how to do things.
Yeah, well, we know how to do things. Whether we do things is another question. We know how to do a lot of shit.
Here's what we do. We reply to each other's text messages. We show up to each other's weddings.
Okay.
Here's the finish.
The suplex from the outside. Look at Heenan. Grabs the leg of the Warrior. He's holding on. He did it. He did it. I called it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this bout and new Intercontinental Champion, representing Rick Rude.
Huge moment in wrestling history. The Ultimate Warrior has lost here at WrestleMania. He's no longer the Intercontinental Champion. But as we know, this is WrestleMania 5. Or WrestleMania 6, he will be the man.
Wow.
Look at how he drops him here, too. Grabs him by the throat and the cock and balls, and then just drops him. Hurt his shoulder, hurt him. He's furious. Nobody likes working with the Warrior. Unfortunately, nobody in the ring is still with us. Rick Rude is gone. Ultimate Warrior's gone. Bobby Heenan's gone. Joey Morella's gone. And Warrior giving chase to ravishing Rick Rude, who's trying to hightail it out of there with the Intercontinental title.
I never liked him running out of the ring like that. That was the thing they did. I don't know. To me, it was kind of, I don't know why I didn't like it. I just didn't. But there's a lot of things that I don't like that I don't know why I don't like. So,
well, here's what I know you like. I know you like the book over on adfreeshows.com. Have you had a chance to see the March one yet?
I'm not, no.
Go out of your way to see it. It's me and let's just catch everybody up. It's myself and David Crockett going through his brother Jimmy's quote unquote red books. They're red in color. It's from the beautiful mind of Dusty Rhodes, all of his booking ideas, the excellent penmanship of JJ Dillon. It's broken down day by day. It's a date book. It's a calendar. All the towns, all the houses, all the gates, all the attendance, all the matches, all the storylines. A peek behind the curtain that you've never seen in pro wrestling, but we covered March of 85, which is fantastic because that's the month where they closed the deal to buy the TBS time slot from Vince McMahon. We talk about how they arrived at the number, how the negotiations went down, how they got the financing for it, and then what it was like at the actual signing. There's a legendary story out there about what Vince said. We'll also talk about what Linda had to do with all of that. And then, of course, as we know, not only does that mean that JCP is back on TBS, it also means that WrestleMania is going to become a thing, the very first one, and how the Crockett's helped fund it and how there was an immediate impact to their business, why it made sense. Just one of the best pieces of content we've ever put together. I highly recommend it. It's available now over at adfreeshows.com. And by the way, you get all these shows early and ad-free. You even get to be a part of our live studio audience at adfreeshows.com. It's more than a dozen podcasts. Starts at just $9, and I want to give you a free trial. The first week is on us right now. Go check it out at adfreeshows.com. Meanwhile, back in the ring, more matches. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Bad News Brown.
Bad News was a legitimate tough guy.
Yes, he was.
I believe he was in the Olympics at one time.
He fucks with judo heavy.
Yeah, right.
You know what? Matter of fact, that's a new shirt too. I fuck with WHW heavy. Available now at lowestrules.com.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking it up now. He was 1976 Olympic Games bronze medalist, according to Wikipedia.
And then 13 years later, he's got a guy with a 2x4 whooping his ass.
That's right. Wow. Yeah, he was pretty cool. And of course, and I think we saw it, didn't we? Didn't he wrestle Piper, and Piper had the half black face, half white face on?
WrestleMania 6, 1 year after this.
Yeah.
Both of them were wearing blue, now that I'm thinking about it. Piper wore blue against him at WrestleMania 6, and here's Duggan at WrestleMania 5. It's like whoever.
Blue.
Yeah, how about that? Hey, I want to mention too, if you're trying to grow your business and your business targets men 25 to 54 years old, no better place to advertise than right here with us. You've heard us do some of the same ads for the same companies year after year after year. You want to know why? Because it really works. With our super targeted audience, there's very little waste. Go right now to advertisewithwhw.com. That's advertisewithwhw.com and find out more about how to advertise here on What Happened When. Next week, by the way, we're going to be talking about the fallout of the Clash of the Champions and JCP, and we'll watch the Nitro that lost the streak. So after 83 consecutive weeks where you guys beat Raw, we'll watch the show that lost, and then we'll watch the week after, and we'll even get down with some old school Memphis wrestling, do a little Ask Tony Anything, some Hardcore Heaven 2000, a Clash of the Champions with Arn and Rick against the Hollywood Blondes, Great American Bash 98, and so much more. It'll be a fun year here on the program, man.
Yeah, you and I got to figure out when we're going to record that or when we're going to have it.
Well, our next one, you and I will be recording on Tuesday. So as folks are listening to this, we already recorded next week's yesterday because Tony's going to be out in Los Angeles, California, watching a little Ring of Honor, and you should too. It's on pay-per-view. Don't miss it. I know that a lot of people, check out the AEW pay-per-views. Maybe some elect to skip the Ring of Honor show. I understand. However, I'm going to challenge you. Go out of your way to watch this one. It's a whole great card. But my goodness. Commander, Vikingo, everybody's going to be talking about it. Don't be the fucking goof who ain't watching. What's the name of the pay-per-view, Tony?
Ring of Honor's Super Card of Honor.
And they can buy it on Fight, and where else?
Cable, satellite providers.
Really appreciate all the information. The Reach for the Sky ladder match is the Kingdom versus Aussie Open. If you haven't been watching, you don't know who Aussie Open are, they're going to be a big fucking deal. Top Flight, you've probably seen over in AEW. Rush and Jalistico, incredible lucha performers you don't want to miss. Roosh, rather, is one of the best in the world. And the Lucha Brothers rounded out. Anything those guys touch is amazing. That's the Reach for the Sky ladder match. And then for the TV title, we got Samoa Joe versus Mark Briscoe. For the world title, Claudio versus Eddie Kingston, who we both think a lot of.
Love him.
And then the AAA championship, my goodness, by Kingo and Commander. Woo! I can't wait to see this one, dude.
Hey, I want to address something here. Coach Rosie, who has been with us since
day one.
Day one. Well, I want to listen to this first. Let's go to the Red Rooster. Good God.
Oh, yeah, I can't miss this.
Heenan is going to be facing the Red Rooster. Bobby Heenan, the manager of many superstars. And at one time, he managed you, Red Rooster. The challenge is out. He has accepted. And this afternoon, it's a classic case of the student meeting the teacher.
That's right. I am going to meet the teacher, and I'm going to teach him something he never taught me, and that's how to lose. Bobby the Weasel Heenan, you said I was limited. I showed you I wasn't limited. I'm fixing to show everybody today in just a few short minutes. I can't wait. You accepted the challenge, and I'm going to take the best of a good opportunity. The Red Rooster's great. Can't wait to get his rooster claws into that weasel hide. I'm going to take out all this frustration. I am going to take care of business, and when I'm done with you, Weasel, there'll be nothing left. It'll be a great day in the barnyard, and everybody will be going, arr, 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 arr.
All right, the waiting is over for the Red Rooster. He's on his way to meet Bobby the Brain Heenan. Right now, let's go back to the arena.
Well, I don't think we're going to.
So, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have to watch this one first. Then the one, too. Because this is not going to last long anyway.
No.
Heenan's hurt. Got the Brooklyn Brawler with him.
He's still selling. Might not even be selling.
Yeah. Oh God! The day that I got a call from J.J. Dillon,
yeah,
that said that Vince McMahon was interested in me, what I call Vince, was the day that they did their angle on Primetime Wrestling, where the Brooklyn Brawler beat up the Red Rooster. And every time I see the Brooklyn Brawler and the Red Rooster together, I'm thinking, wow, that was the day. Huh.
You were going to say something about Coach Rosie, who's been with us since day one.
Coach Rosie asked me this question, and Dave, you don't have to throw it up, and I'll just read it. He said, can you speak on the fundraiser y'all are doing Thursday? My uncle has Parkinson's, so I love to give. It's not this Thursday, Coach Rosie. As a matter of fact, it's going to be on Lois's birthday on Thursday, April 6th. We're going to be part of APDA Rhode Island chapter and we're going to have an event called All Elite Wrestling Together. It's going to be at the Courthouse Center for the Arts in Kingston, Rhode Island, to benefit the American Parkinson's Disease Association. And it's going to be, I'm going to be there actually with Dean Malenko. I think Jerry Lynn's going to be with us. Aubrey Edwards will be there. Ethan Page. I think Thunder Rosa, I'm not sure. Anyway, so we're going to raise money for the APDA. And you can go to ADPA Rhode Island Chapter's Twitter page. That's at ADPA Rhode Island, and see more about it. So I'm going to be there with my friend Dean Malenko, who I've known for forever, and who has Parkinson's and has worked very, very hard for us, and is, one of the greats.
Well said.
We're
watching the Brooklyn Brawler here put the boots to Terry Taylor. Of course, as we all know, this is definitely not me just making this up on the spot. They had a box of gimmicks there in the corner of Vince McMahon's office in Stamford. You saw it. And guys would come in and it'd be like, I'm the top star for Bill Watts. And he'd say, oh, okay, cool. Why don't you grab that cardboard box over there and just reach in. Don't look, just turn your head and reach in and just pull that out and read me what that sheet of paper says, and then we'll be all set. And as it turns out, Kurt Hennig pulled out Mr. Perfect, and I left his AWA run behind him. And Terry Taylor pulled out the Red Rooster. George Gray pulled out Akeem the African Dream. You see.
Conrad?
Goes. Yeah.
That is the first time I've ever heard of that story.
It's an actual story. It's real. I definitely didn't make it up just now here on the spot.
I'm sure you didn't.
That is exactly the way it went down. And they that's how Dusty got the polka dots.
Really?
Damn box of gimmicks.
Really?
Yeah, everything I just said is absolutely factual. I promise. I didn't make up anything.
Okay, I believe that, obviously.
You saw the link, right?
Exception of Dusty with the polka dots.
None of it's real. Let's take a listen to Liz here.
Unquestionably, Gene. Today I'll be in a neutral corner, and from there I will continue to support both men. It's unfortunate for everyone that these two men feel they have to resolve their differences in this way. I can only hope for one thing, Gene. I can only pray for one thing, and that's that neither man will be seriously injured.
All right, there you have them. Comments from the First Lady of Wrestling, Miss Elizabeth.
Well, I tell you, a very anxious moment from Miss Elizabeth. And you know, here in the dressing room today, we've had many anxious moments, but right now, all the wrestlers have vacated. They are heading to the arena because no one wants to miss the mega powers exploding. Let's go to the arena floor. Okay, I want to take a quick poll. We are minutes away from the World Wrestling Federation Championship match. Who's going to win? I think what we have right here is a split decision, but I think you know the Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan are not going to settle for a split decision. Let's get right to the action. Back to you, Jesse and Gorilla.
By the way, listen, I know we have a lot of fun on this program and we talk shit and we talk about cutting pizza with scissors and nonsense and fucking with chocolate milk heavy. However, this is a big time, worthy of your attention, worth a rewatch main event. This is one of the gutsiest, most important performances in the history of wrestling, all by this man, Randy Savage. When the McFarlane Collectible Company did a little statue of him back at WrestleMania 30, they revealed it was him wearing this gear. It's fantastic. One of the favorite pieces I was ever able to land and collect. It's just an iconic look and performance. Because here's the thing. We all love the Macho Man and his promos and the robes and the mannerisms and all that.
Yeah.
But this is also the biggest match of his entire career. And he's fucked up bad with staph infection. And when he's going to pull this robe off in a minute, you'll see his elbow is wrapped up something heavy.
Yeah.
He should not be wrestling.
Yep.
He has a fever. He is sick. He is not near at his physical peak. But I'll be damned if you couldn't tell from watching. This dude came out here and put on a show. And look at those flash bulbs going. There you see that iconic piece of memorabilia and collectible. They nailed it. They did such a great job with it. Even the way it wasn't buttoned at the top. I mean, the way it's laying there, it's just, they nailed it. They crushed it.
They sure did.
I would love to find that robe. This is one of, if not my favorite performances in WrestleMania history, just because you know the backstory.
Right.
This is the wrestling equivalent of Jordan in the playoffs with the flu. Like, this is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be able to do this. And he does it. And he gets a good match out of Hogan. And I'm a Hogan lover. Like, I am here doing this show because of Hulk Hogan. Like, Hulk Hogan is the reason I am a wrestling fan. I just can't say enough nice things about what Hulk Hogan meant to my childhood. Now I understand some people have trouble separating the art from the artist, and they say, well, I don't like Terry Bollea. Okay, I don't really know him, but Hulk Hogan as a kid, man, he was like my Superman. And the idea that he's able to go out and have the match that we're all fixing to watch now, not through little kid eyes, but through adult eyes, and knowing a little more about wrestling than we did back then, or at least we think we do, they're going to have a really good match here. It's going to exceed your expectations for a Hogan match. And a lot of that is because of Pat Patterson, who you saw coming down the ring, protecting Miss Elizabeth with 982 security guards. But most of that is because of the man in the ring right now with a staph infection. Like, he is in a hugely diminished capacity, but this is the biggest gate in wrestling, the biggest pay-per-view in wrestling. Like, this sets so many crazy records. It's Macho Man's time to shine, man. And by the way, I understand that, as you said, there was an edict from the company that, man, whenever we're putting these tapes together for Coliseum Video, you show the Hogan thing in its entirety.
Right.
Let's be honest. Yes, we created a heel factory for Hulk Hogan, but those heels were not created equally. Some were much bigger stars than others. Some were much bigger box office than others. Nobody clicked and made it work better in this era with Hogan than Savage. Savage is just an amazing performer, and it's crazy to think that really this is his only main event in WrestleMania history. Like, I know he had a title shot at 8 against Flair, and I know he had a retirement match against Hogan at 7, and he had a pretty iconic match as far as just the names involved with Dusty at 6. And I know he won the tournament at 4, but when you take a look at even the marketing on 4, the poster and all of that was Hogan and Andre. Yes, he technically went on last, but he was really supporting cast. They were trying to make him there. But by 5, he's the man. He checked all the boxes. And I know that these days everybody talks about Savage with great reverence, but when people talk about greatest wrestlers of all time, it feels like they always say, and I get it, well, it's Flair, it's Steamboat, it's Shawn Michaels, it's something like that. Man, Savage is on that damn Mount Rushmore somewhere.
You're damn right he is, for many reasons.
Yes.
This being one of the reasons, because he wrestled with a staph infection. And number 2 was he was always, I've talked about this many times, he was the most professional that I've ever worked with.
Right.
And it's something that I bring up to, there you see, as far as I'm concerned, he ripped off the robe. He's got the elbow wrapped up. I've talked about that many, many wrestlers. I tell them the story about working with the Macho Man Randy Savage, how when he arrived at the building, the first thing he did was get into his gimmick because he was a pro. And there's a lot of times that in modern day, you have to tell the wrestlers, we need you for a pre-tape. You never had to tell the Macho Man, we need you ready for a pre-tape. He was ready. You were waiting on him. And to me, that is just amazing. And the fact that he could have a great match with anybody. He really could. And not many people can say that. Just, God, I love working with him. He is on the Mount Rushmore. No question.
I just absolutely love this match and this story and this angle and this main event and this build and the hype and the presentation and just everything about it. And to know the backstory of this is Savage's big chance. And when you think about it too, in history, like I want to be clear. I'm not saying this to be negative. I really appreciate what Roman Reigns has done.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that Roman Reigns is going to have like 8 or 9 or 10 times the amount of main events that Randy Savage did is like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
How? Yeah. Like Dusty never main evented a WrestleMania. Ric Flair never WrestleMania at WrestleMania. Savage did it once. Like that just does. And I know people are going to say, well, he went on last at 4. It was a tournament. He wasn't promoted the same. He's on the cover of the poster. He drew this thing.
Yeah.
This story, this biggest story in wrestling history here. Because by the way, I really do believe this. If this is Hogan Andre again here, it's not as big.
Mm-hmm.
It's diminished from, we saw it in 87, we saw it again in 88. We didn't want it again in 89. So what else could they have done here in 89? And I know there's been talk, I mean, you never really talked about this, but back at SummerSlam in 88, the idea that was even teased a lot on TV is that Brother Love was going to interview a mystery guest, a surprise guest, someone you'd never seen or heard from before, blah, 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 blah. That was supposed to be Ric Flair. They thought they had Ric Flair. And they were going to debut him in Madison Square Garden on the Brother Love show as a new character. And that would have been SummerSlam 88. Had that happened, you got to think WrestleMania 5 here is Hogan Flair.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. So when it didn't happen, they pivoted. The special guest on the Brother Love show was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And they started this storyline. But when you take a look, certainly WrestleMania 4 was built around, you know, Savage being supported by Hogan. But the quote unquote story didn't really start until SummerSlam 88. And once they knew they didn't have Flair, they pivoted and said, okay, we'll go with Hogan Savage at WrestleMania 5 and started to build this fantastic story. But we almost didn't get this story.
Yeah.
This story could have been Hogan Flair, which would have changed wrestling forever and ever, and would have perhaps, I mean, I don't even know that it's perhaps, it would have robbed Savage of his only WrestleMania main event.
Why do you think that Savage didn't go on to main event more? They didn't think he could be the man to draw?
I think they probably felt like they had been there, done that for this story. Like Hogan was repeating a lot. You know, Hogan's in the main event of 1 and in 2 and in 3. And even though he's not in the main event of 4, the whole show's built around him and Andre for 4. So here he is for 5. 6 is him and Warrior. And they tried Warrior and that didn't work. They come back at 7 with him and Slaughter. At 8, it's him and Sid, which is just at that point grasping at straws.
Yeah.
I think realistically, man, how about that? You don't see that often from Hogan. That's that New Japan Hogan. It would have been cool to see Flair and Savage close out 8, but they just felt like Hogan's our biggest box office and biggest attraction. And on some level, I get that. But in recent years, you know, they didn't keep putting John Cena in the main event. They'd put him on the show somewhere, but they'd close it with Roman, even when fans weren't really with it.
Yep, right. Just, you know, I got to thinking about this story and this great storyline angle that leads to this match. And in a way, it's been the foundation for many storylines like this, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been the when you see two people who are like best friends and working together and on the same team, and they split up and one turns heel, it harkens back to this. This was the beginning of it. This was the biggest storyline on the biggest stage that has now helped many of the storylines before it. So when I think of, you know, friends turning on each other, first thing I think about is Macho Man and Hogan leading up to WrestleMania 5. Because they got a lot of exposure, and it was on, as we've seen, Saturday night's main event, and was a thread through all these TV shows leading up to WrestleMania 5. So yeah, we're watching an historic match in many ways. Macho Man just simply has done a couple of things here. He put Elizabeth in front of him.
Yes.
He went to the stands and tore up a Hulk Hogan foam figure. He is pulling Hogan by the hair. He's doing just some great, not subtle, but some great tricks that heels do.
He didn't just go to the stands. That's one of Trump's kids' foam finger.
Oh.
I don't know which one it is, but.
How about that?
Taking care of the sponsors. Hey, I know you don't normally have much time to watch any wrestling. Did you happen to see or hear about the Cody Roman promo this past week?
I did not. I probably need to go back and watch it.
So Roman is quote unquote shooting brother.
Oh boy.
And he says something like you couldn't get over here as Goldust or as Stardust.
Right.
So then you had to go start your own promotion and you couldn't even get over there.
Wow.
So you ran away and came back here until your body quit on you and your little peck went pop.
Mm.
The idea being when you just fail, you just run away and you're going to fail at WrestleMania and then run away, that sort of thing. And Cody did an interview that I thought was pretty good afterwards. I forget where the media source was, but he said something like, hey, you know what he was saying is based in reality. I hate the process, or I hate the phrase, trust the process. I want to change the process. I want to be a part of the change. I want to be in charge of my destiny and that sort of thing. And he said, hey, there was some truth in what he's saying, and that I did leave. I did want to bet on myself and go do it somewhere else. I did feel rejected, but I acknowledged that rejection and tried to overcome it. Meanwhile, he chose to just ignore it. And I thought that was fascinating because you and I both watched some Roman stuff where you could hear the crowd booing and they would turn the crowd down and then pipe in chants.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a tough era. And that is not where Roman is now. Roman's over like Rover now, but let's not pretend that those several years didn't exist where fans were rejecting him. And I thought it was pretty cool that Cody acknowledged, hey, it was kind of the same. You chose to ignore it, and I went and did something about it. And now they're together. I just thought that was a nice little wrinkle to the story.
That's a very good story, and that's the kind of thing on both ends that really get fans interested in the story.
Yes.
And you know what? There's people that think that the wrestling in the ring is the thing. And there are people that think that, no, it's the story that leads to the match that's the thing. I'm not on either side. I like them both. And I think like for instance, to give you an example, there was no story to Kenny Omega and Vikingo.
Right.
But it was entertaining, wasn't it? It was a great freaking wrestling match. What we're watching right here, the story is the thing. But also, the Macho Man's performance in this is great as well. So I kind of think that both are important. And I think though with Cody and seemingly with, and listen, I haven't watched any of it. Seemingly with Cody and Roman, the story is the thing here. Plus the fact they've never met, right?
Yes.
That's pretty damn cool. I think you get a match where the two have never met is always, to me, very important. Ole Anderson told me years ago that he said, you keep booking these main events on TV and all of a sudden you run out of combinations.
Right.
Pretty soon you've seen everybody wrestle everybody. He had a point back then. But I think it's cool that Cody and Roman have never met. And I think it's cool, so cool, that Cody is main eventing WrestleMania.
It's amazing, dude. What a great story he's got. And we're watching a great WrestleMania here. We're talking over a really good main event. One of the best main event matches in WrestleMania history at that point. I mean, it's not saying much. The first one was a tag match. The second one was Bundy. The third one was Hogan Andre. This is a much better match than any of those. And the story is just second to none. And the fans are telling the story, man. All-time pay-per-view record. There's 18,946 folks here in attendance. Such an iconic show. I'm so glad we got to watch this together.
Yeah, that's good.
Because this is, you're only there for a year, but you were there for a great year.
It was wonderful. It was a wonderful year of my life, and I've said that many times. Hogan is starting to hulk up here. He's got blood on his forehead. It's and the fans respond to it every time they respond to Hulk Hogan hulking up.
Yeah, here it comes.
Good stuff. I think I'm a little bit ahead of you on my watch along, but that's okay.
He's got 3 big headbutts in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Big right hand in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
2, 3. Here comes the old Irish whip. setting up the clothesline, selling the arm a little bit.
Yep.
By the way, we would love for you to take a look at us over on YouTube. You got to see Tony with his tape measure. It's WHW on YouTube.com. That's WHW on YouTube.com. We're going to start cranking out some bonus content for you there. And you're going to start to notice that some of the videos look and feel a little different. We're making some changes, and you want to check it out. So even if you've checked it out before, it's worth another look. It's WHW on YouTube.com. Click that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications bell. There's going to be some fun stuff coming you don't want to miss. Also, would love to have your interactions on social. We are at WHW Monday on Twitter and Facebook, at WHW Podcast over on Instagram. If you'd like to be blocked by Tony Schiavone, you can do that anytime at Tony Schiavone 24. Say one sideways thing, you're blocked forever, dead to him forever. He'll just move on.
Absolutely.
I'm on Twitter at Hey It's Conrad, on Instagram at Hey It's Conrad Thompson. And of course, you can get all of our swag and merch and all that fun stuff, including, that's all I got to say about that, the big motherfucker shirt, the tank whistle shirt, bug stickers, lowest rules, lots of fun stuff. Not just shirts, but fun other stuff you should go check out, including the Tips Don't Touch shirt. That's all available now at lowestrules.com.
I think my Instagram, I don't know if that was, we put it up. I don't know if we put up the correct one or not. Tony Schiavone 24 for Instagram. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, if you go on there, I am active on there in that I always post stuff about my dogs. I don't.
Yeah, your dogs are running around, taking naps.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, since we're talking about stuff you share. You ever put peanut butter all over your balls?
I know you so well.
Is that something you've done?
I can see a bullshit line coming from you all the way down the Mississippi.
It only took you 9 years.
Yeah, that's right. Let me ask you something. I'm looking. Here we go. Here we go. Brace yourself.
So listen, let's get to it. Peanut butter on the balls. You done it or no?
No.
Oh, I recommend it.
Okay. They had to send Miss Elizabeth away. When you're talking about all that, about us being on YouTube and social, I feel so lucky. And again, thank you, Conrad. I've had a very good podcasting career. There are so many wrestling podcasts out there. There are more wrestling podcasts now. I mean, everybody's got
There's
one.
hundreds. There's hundreds.
There's thousands.
Yeah.
But only a few of us are able to really, I think, do a good job and make money at it. And
Yes.
not many. And thank you for that. And thank you for all of our fans, all of our dedicated fans who follow us on Patreon /WHW Monday, our top guy, and our ad-free shows. And thank you very much for that. We appreciate your loyalty and being with us. And we got Top Guy Weekend coming up, and unfortunately, that's the same weekend we have Forbidden Doors, so I'll only be at Top Guy Weekend for a brief period of time because of my work, but we do appreciate every one of you. You're going to have a great time in Huntsville, by the way. Huntsville is a great city. A great city.
Game Changer Wrestling is going to be here in town. They're doing wrestling night for us at the Trash Pandas, the minor league baseball team, on Thursday. Most of the hotels are near the Space and Rocket Center. But we got some comedian friends and some wrestler friends, and of course, as many of our hosts that we can pull together that weekend. Should be fun. I really was kind of shocked when we did that poll, Tony, that I just thought people would want to go to Chicago again and piggyback a major wrestling event or whatever. And Huntsville got like 67% of the vote or something. And I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah. Easy for you.
But here's the good thing. All my wrestling belts will be there, and I'll bring some Ric Flair robes and some other fun swag, and we'll always have some fun surprises. We do have some tricks up our sleeve you don't want to miss. But yeah, we are going to have to figure out, hey, are we going to organize a Forbidden Door watch along and let people go to GCW? Because that's all at the same time. And of course, none of us knew that was the case when it first happened. We just wanted to be mindful of, let's don't do it Father's Day and that sort of thing.
Well, you could always record Forbidden Door, play it when they come back.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be fun. I'm sure a lot of our folks are going to want to watch it live. So we'll try to find a solution for that. But at the same time, I feel like watching a highlight or two with you the next day could be fun.
Yeah.
We'll coordinate it all and make it fun.
Yeah.
We always do. Last time we had our event here in Huntsville, our first ever low-key Big Hog weekend. We had surprise run-ins. We had been talking about Tommy Rich a lot on the program, and we went to an Italian restaurant, and here came Tommy Rich with a run-in. Somebody say something about lasagna. Nobody thought that would happen.
All-timer for me to see him walk in and say that.
And then we showed up at a bowling alley, and of all people, Tracy Smothers was there to tell stories about wrestling a fucking bear. And then we're hanging out and being goofy drunk asses, and I'll be damned if Ernest the Cat Miller didn't show. I mean, just a really fun experience.
Yeah, it's great. We have built such a community, Conrad, and we've built a community based on you being a wrestling fan, me being in wrestling and a wrestling fan, and everybody out there being wrestling fans.
And here comes the big Hulk up, man.
The look on his face.
1, 2, 3. Into the ropes you go, motherfucker. Catch this big boot. I'm gonna drop that ham hock. That's it, Daddy.
And the fans are going bananas for the first time in this show, right?
Unbelievable ovation. Half of them are cheering because it means it's over and they can go to dinner. The other half are really excited they got to see Hulk Hogan. He's our new champ. And by the way, that is a different belt. If you're a belt nerd, I know what you're thinking. No, that's the belt Savage wore to the ring. It is not. That is a second belt. Savage wore a different belt to the ring, and Hogan is going to strap on a brand new one here. Only 3 fellows, I guess 4, if you count 5, maybe, if you count Andre and DiBiase for that one segment. Only 3 guys, though, actually had runs with the dual-plated version of that Winged Eagle Championship. Of course, Hulk Hogan being first, Randy Savage being second, and then ultimately the Ultimate Warrior would beat him for number 3. But very briefly, at least for a day, Andre the Giant and Randy Savage held it. But that's it. Of course, Savage is going to clear the ring because, as Bruce has taught us, Hogan must pose. And there it is. The new world title on. Going to do the big pose down celebration. When I was a kid, man, this was mine and my sister's favorite part. We'd stand in the living room, do all the poses.
Yes.
All the adults would look at us and say, look at these idiots. They're having so much fun.
Yes. And a lot of people who knocked him for doing those poses, bullshit.
They didn't understand.
They didn't understand. Kids like you loved it. And that's why he did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, I loved it today. It was so fun to go back in our Wayback Machine and talk about 1989, my favorite WrestleMania as a kid, and certainly a big moment in your career where you felt like, man, I have made it.
Yep.
And now, unfortunately, it looks like it's about that time.
Ladies and gentlemen, and our final match of the evening is going to be Baby Nuts against Cassio Kid, 1-on-1. Ooh, Baby Nuts kicks him right in the midsection. Cassio hunches over. Baby Nuts goes behind him, pulls down the trunks. My God, those are cheeks for years. And he takes a swig of chocolate milk and pours French dressing on him. And Lynch, we got to go. We can't watch this. We are desperately out of time. We'll see you next week on What Happened When. We come to you Wednesdays on Westwood One, but Mondays we come to you only on
Patreon, patreon.com/WHW Monday. And of course, adfreeshows.com.
Hey guys, need to call a quick timeout here. Wanted to tell your listeners what I've been telling my listeners over at OU didn't know for a while now about all the cool things happening over at adfreeshows.com.
A brand new series has arrived on Ad Free Shows. Top of the Card unpacks everything you need to know in the wrestling trading card space. And we're starting with the granddaddy of them all, the 1982 Wrestling All-Stars Series A set.
Now, this set was not exclusive to any one territory at the time, as we were still right at the tail end of the territory era of professional wrestling. So it was basically a who's who in professional wrestling, with card number 1 being Andre the Giant. Others included in the set include Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, and others.
20 years ago, Eric took on Stone Cold in the main event on Raw. But the real main event was the confrontation that happened backstage before the show.
Now, the next week, I'm sitting in this chair, and that same guy, I don't think I had said a word to him that day. I don't think I had seen Rick up until the point he came through that door. And he's, getting me, just telling me to get up, get out of the chair. And he's so pissed off, he's bleeding. I'm on the phone, and he's got blood running down his chin because he bit his lip. He was so mad, he bit the inside of his mouth.
He's got blood on a backstage confrontation.
I hadn't even gotten out of the chair yet.
Ad-free shows members got to sit shotgun alongside Kevin Nash and Click This co-host Sean Oliver as they watch back some of the worst matches in history. None more so than the Yeti.
Randy now. The mummy is not Frankenstein. You don't walk with your arms straight out
with
like
the arms out, right? And a Yeti is also not a mummy, but I don't know. Was it Jim Hurd? Who was here? Well, whose brainchild was this?
Who gives a fuck?
That's just a small taste of what we got waiting for you. With 4 levels to choose from, see for yourself why ads-free shows is the best value in wrestling today. Sign up now at adsfreeshows.com.